A CBC Sports presentation. Welcome to CFL 85 on CBC. The best of Canadian professional football, presented by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you. By Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment. Quality is job one. By Petro-Canada, dealers and agents across Canada, putting Canada first. And now, for all the action, let's join our CBC Sports crew.
Live from Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, the Eskimos entertain the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. During the offseason, there was speculation that the Blue Bombers might trade backup quarterback John Hufnagel to a team that needed experience at the pivot position. No such transaction ever developed, and Saturday night, Winnipeg football fans were grateful it didn't. The 34-year-old product of Penn State came off the bench in the third quarter, firing touchdown strikes to Glenn Steele and James Murphy as the Bombers twice overcame a 13-point deficit to beat the Toronto Argonauts 28-27 in perhaps the most exciting game of the season. But despite those heroics, Hufnagel is still number 2 and will again be in a backup position tonight with Tom Clements as the Bombers face the Edmonton Eskimos. Hi everyone, I'm Don Whitman. And you know, while some members of the Winnipeg media might have attempted to trade Hufnagel, Cal Murphy maintained the Huffer would be his number 2 signal caller. And I think my two broadcasting partners, Leo Cahill and Ron Lancaster, would agree that every head coach likes to have experience at that pivot position.
Boy, that's for sure, Don. It's nice and reassuring, Ron, to have two guys that you can depend on to go in there and get the job done for you. As far as Clements is concerned, he's had kind of a slow start this year, but Tommy's got great recuperative powers, and don't be surprised if he comes back strong tonight. Now, there is something about being a defending Grey Cup champion, though, Ron. It has its pitfalls.
Well, it sure does. You know, they had the big push last year when they went on and won the Grey Cup. And when you report back for the next training camp, sometimes your intensity level just isn't what it was the year before. And the big thing there, and you have to realize, you can't turn it off and you can't turn it on just at game time. Football's an emotional game. You prepare for it every day, hoping for it to peak at game time. And this could be one of the Bombers' problems. Who knows?
Well, one thing they've got going for them, and that's for sure, is that last week, Willard Reeves had 97 yards. Anytime last year he had 100 yards, they were in pretty good shape.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and this young Edmonton defense has made 4 changes, which we'll get into a little bit later. They're hoping to, one, shut down Reeves, and then naturally you've got to get to the quarterback.
The Blue Bombers with a record of 2 wins and 1 loss. Edmonton 1 win and 2 losses. And we'll return to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton and the opening kickoff in just a moment. But first, let's go back to CFL 85 control in Toronto and Brian Williams. Brian?
Thank you, Don. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CFL Control. Week number 4 of this 1985 season. We take a look at the standings, beginning with the Western Conference. BC undefeated. Edmonton trying to move into a second-place tie in this game with Winnipeg. In the Eastern Conference, Montreal, of course, undefeated. The big matchup, Montreal at Vancouver Saturday. By the way, Toronto is at Hamilton tomorrow evening. Coming up at halftime, Derek Fitzgerald in Montreal on the newfound Concord's Confidence. We'll be taking you back to Winnipeg, where Scott Oak will bring us up to date on some of the pressures affecting the Grey Cup champion Blue Bombers. And, of course, we'll update Major League Baseball right now. Toronto behind Dave Steeb is leading California 5-0 in the battle of the division leaders. And there is no score in the 7th inning between Montreal and Cincinnati. The opening kickoff is up next. The CFL 85 continues. CFL Control in Toronto. It's Winnipeg at Edmonton. Just a reminder, tomorrow night, the Toronto Argonauts play in Hamilton. Saturday night, for you people in the West, the big matchup, it is Montreal at Vancouver. And, of course, Sunday afternoon, we'll have Ottawa home to the Calgary Stampeders. Right now, from Edmonton, once again, here's Don Whitman.
Well, it's a beautiful summer evening here in Edmonton, and if there are clouds in the forecast, they've got to come from a long way off, because all we see at Commonwealth Stadium is bright blue sky. Larry Rohan is the man in charge of the officiating crew tonight, and they have already held the coin toss, and the Edmonton Eskimos will be kicking off to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers put James Murphy deep along with Glenn Steele. Those two individuals scored touchdowns in that come-from-behind win over the Toronto Argonauts. As Dixon kicks off for Edmonton, the ball bounces to Glenn Steele at his 9-yard line. And he is upset as he crosses the 20, dropped at the 23 by a new addition to that Edmonton lineup, Dave McNeil, who will be playing the linebacking position. Glenn Steele, a product of the University of British Columbia Thunderbirds, and this is the way the Blue Bombers line up offensively.
Well, as we mentioned before, Willard Reeves is the key. He's got to get 100 yards. He does. They're in pretty good shape. James Hood.
Fires the strike, it's complete. And Joe Poplawski, who has been the hot man in the Winnipeg passing scheme, carries the ball out to about the 34-yard line. Almost a first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It is a first down, signals referee Larry Rohan. Defensively, Edmonton looks this way.
Well, we said they were going to have some changes. They moved John Mandrich to the nose, put Brent Murphy in at the defensive end. The new guy, Dave McNeil, as Don said, he's over from the BC Lions. And Cliff Toney was the starter last year. He's getting his first opportunity in league play.
First and 10, Winnipeg. Clements to Willard Reeves. He makes a diving catch at the 40, gets to his feet and has 9 yards. Stopped there by Darrell Hall. So Tom Clements off to a fast start here at Commonwealth Stadium, hitting his first two pitches to Joe Poplawski and Willard Reeves.
And a good catch by Willard Reeves on that. When the ball was overthrown just a bit, he had the presence of mind after he hit the ground to get back up and make that extra couple yards. As you say, Don, almost got 9 yards. It'll be second and just a little bit over 1.
You can bet they're going to run.
That's what Cal Murphy told us before the game, that on second and short, they had to use Willard Reeves more. He gets the call. He's got the first down out to the 45-yard line.
Well, when you got the best running back in the Canadian Football League, and I say that because he was the Shenley Award winner last year, you've got to use him. And on short yardage situations, we know that he's going to be used a lot more tonight.
Willard got off to a slow start last year as well. He is actually the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League in this 1985 season. He still maintains that he might close in on that 2,000-yard mark. First and 10 from the 45-yard line. Clements throwing it to Reeves again, and Reeves is forced out of bounds at the 50-yard line.
I like the way Tom Clements is open. He's staying with his short passing game, and when Tom stays with his short passing game, he is awful tough. I think that he'll just continue to do that because Edmonton wants to drop out of there. He won't go deep until he gets the opportunity. I think he's using his head right now.
Well, Matt Dunnigan is anxious to get out there, but Tom Clements is not willing to relinquish the football just yet. It is Winnipeg with a second down play from the 50-yard line. Second and 5 for the Blue Bombers. Clements throwing to the sidelines, incomplete, intended for James Murphy. And the Bombers will be forced to kick it away as Stuart Hill was pressuring quarterback Tom Clements. Hill, number 36. At the moment, just one man is back to receive this third down punt. That's Chris Woods. Bob Cameron will be standing at his own 36-yard line. He has had 3 punts blocked this season, 1 in preseason play against Calgary, 2 regular season punts against Montreal and Toronto, and all 3 have gone for touchdowns. Chris Woods takes it at the 15-yard line. He has great speed if he can get to the outside. But that opening does not develop as he is dropped over in the far side of the field by Ken Haley. So with 11:52 remaining in this opening quarter, the Edmonton Eskimos will scrimmage for the first time.
Hey. Well, offensively, the Eskimos, no changes except Milson Jones is back on the roster. He took a game off because of a bruised heel. But with Cowan and Matt Dunnigan, he's the guy that's got to make him go. Receivers, same all year. Pretty fortunate. They're still in there. Rick House is starting to become more of a factor for them. And these are the guys that do all the work, and you never hear about them.
There's Coach Jackson Parker on the sidelines right there. Jackie is in the game, one of the great football players that played in the Canadian Football League.
Defensively, the Blue Bombers line up this way.
All John Sturdivant's at the defensive end, Stan McCowis at the middle guard, and Tony Norman's the guy you got to watch because last week they're a little bit dissatisfied with him. Linebackers the same as they have been. Tyrone Jones back in there, and you know that he's going to have a good night. Back in the secondary, they're all pretty much veterans. Roy Bennett is the only real change in there.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. They are at their own 18-yard line. Sideline pattern, the pass in the direction of Chris Woods. He was being covered over there by David Shaw. It will be 2nd and 10. Dunnigan playing with a bit of a sore thumb. He injured that thumb when he banged his hand on the helmet of an opposition player, but he claims hasn't hampered his throwing.
That's a very common injury for a quarterback. You start to throw and you follow through and you'll hit those helmets, and it's pretty sore.
2nd and 10. Dunnigan has that ability to run with the ball. He's being chased. Still on his feet, and then he's brought down. The initial pressure came from Darrell Patterson, the linebacker. And with that initial pressure from Patterson, he was brought down for a loss.
Well, watch Dunnigan. He'll start to scramble here. Now, as he gets outside, Brian Kelly broke deep. But when you're running that fast, it's going to be impossible for you to throw back across your body 40 yards downfield to him. He almost got away again, slipped and fell. But that's good pressure, and that's something Winnipeg wants to do.
You know, Millicent Jones coming out of the backfield kept looking back at Dunnigan as a pass receiver. And Dunnigan was hoping that he'd look ahead and see somebody to block there because I think he could have probably ran for a long distance.
Low snap to Dixon. Good high punt. Sean Keogh having difficulty, and he was fortunate that he was able to cover up near the midfield stripe. So that's where Winnipeg will take over. Good field position for the Blue Bombers.
Well, Sean Kehoe, he looked it into his hands, but it went right through his arms. But he had the presence of mind to get down on it and not try to pick it up and run with it. When that ball's on the ground and they're closing in on you like that, it's always a good idea to make sure that you got the ball and go down and get on it.
Sean Keogh, a Grey Cup hero on this same Commonwealth Stadium turf last fall for the Blue Bombers. Screen pass to James Murphy. He gets a couple of blocks. He fumbles the football. And who's got it? I think Winnipeg got it back.
Murphy got it back. The luck of the bounce that time.
Sean Keogh threw a key block to spring James Murphy loose. The other Murphy a little upset with the number of turnovers by the Blue Bombers this year.
Well, where they fumbled 8 times and they haven't recovered one of them, you think the law of averages would be in their way, but watch it get stripped. Danny Bass coming over the backside, knocks it out of his hands, and they lost it and they rolled right back to him. Can't beat that.
A great block there by John Bonk, too. He got out there in front of that thing all the way from the center position, made a key block. Willard Reeves looks to me in the last couple of ball games like he's stumbling a little bit, whether he's got trouble with his shoes or he's just too anxious to get into that line. He's a little bit frustrated the first couple of games, but had his 97 last week.
9:28 is the time remaining in this opening quarter. Murphy goes wide to the left. James Hood is out to the right on the 2nd and 6th play. Over the middle, incomplete. It was intended for Jerome Erdman. He was being covered by James Bell.
Well, they blitzed those linebackers, decided to come after Clements, and that you can see the linebackers are up in the line of scrimmage. There's no linebacker underneath them, but the good job was done by the defensive back Bell. They just had a collision, and he couldn't get his balance to hang on to the football, but it was thrown perfectly.
Field goal attempt by Trevor Kennard coming from 39 yards out. It's wide. And Laurent Delorier concedes the single point, and the Bombers are first on the board with 8:54 remaining in this opening quarter.
It's a good idea to give them the point. You know, you have a struggling team, and like the Eskimos, they haven't had good field position so far halfway through this first quarter. Now they at least have it out to the 35, and 1 point won't hurt them.
Laurent Delorier obtained last year along with Frank Balkovec in a trade with the British Columbia Lions. Delorier, a product of the University of British Columbia, playing that safety position. 1st and 10 Edmonton from the 35 after the single point by Kennedy. Donegan complete. No, it's incomplete over on the sidelines. In and out of the arms of Rick House, the ex-Blue Bomber, who would certainly like to perform well against his former mates tonight.
You know he didn't like dropping that one right in front of the Winnipeg bench. You know that for sure.
Do you think there were any comments directed his way?
Not at one. Ball players would never do that, Don.
2nd and 10 from the 35. Donegan is hit and dropped back at the 30. He was stripped of the football, and Winnipeg has recovered. Scott Flagel was blitzing from his safety position. Donegan lost the ball, and the Blue Bombers take over with the recovery at the 30.
Well, that's what you want, the surprise. He's coming from the right side of the screen, number 14. Is Scott Flagel, the safety man. And boy, if you can get that much time, that means your defensive backs have done a great job one-on-one to allow a safety man to come that far in, and watch the hit he puts on him.
Actually, it was kind of a delayed blitz, and the linemen picked up their men and just left a cavernous hole in there for him to come through.
Winnipeg 1st and 10 from the 30. Stan Nicholas, the one who recovered that fumbled ball. Willard Reeves trying to follow the blocking inside. Stu Hill came in to make the tackle.
Boy, did a good job following the blockers that time. He got out there behind those guards, and he cut it right back inside. And as you see, the result, 8 yards. That's all you can ask.
Lyle Bauer was out in front of Willard Reeves, leading him downfield. It's a pickup of 8, 2nd and 2, Winnipeg. Sean Keogh met right at the line of scrimmage. He is straightened up by Dan Kearns with help from the linebacker, John Daly. It's a gain of maybe half a yard, so it will be 3rd and just over a yard, and they're going to go for it.
Got to go get it. I mean, they want to establish themselves. This is a big confidence booster if they make it. And, you know, Cal Murphy has nothing but confidence in him.
Now, Tommy will either take it himself or give it to Willard Reeves.
With the hole in the middle, I think he'll take it himself.
6:43 the time remaining in this opening quarter. Willard Reeves is hit and driven back by Danny Bass, and I think they've stopped him. Let's see where they place the ball, ruling on the forward progress of Willard Reeves. He was hit and driven back, but they placed the ball inside the 20-yard line. Critical measurement early in this football game, and they did not get it. So the Edmonton Eskimos take over 1st and 10 with 6:32 remaining in this first quarter. And Sports Weekend will have live coverage of both events Saturday beginning at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time.
The Michigan State linebacker and former Calgary Stampeder, that was a great hit. He keys in the backfield on that fullback, and wherever he goes, he's going to find Mr. Bass, and he really stuck him.
I think you might even question the call, though, of Tom Clements on that play, with Bass really keying on Willard Reeves.
Yeah, the middle linebacker really can't stop the quarterback sneak, but he can stop the back. I kind of thought Tom would carry it himself.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when you got Willard Reeves in there and you've got an offensive line in front of you, if you can't make 1 yard, then you're in trouble, and they were in trouble on that play right there. They ought to be able to knock that line back out of there, and he ought to be able to, by his momentum, make that 1 yard on Bass. But Bass stuck his head right up in under the numbers and squared up in the hole and knocked him right back.
So now the Eskimos will try to get their offense in gear. So far they've been unsuccessful, and they are still having their problems as John Sturdivant is there to wrap up Larry Cowan.
That was excellent defensive play. When the action goes away from Sturdivant's side, as it did there, he came right down the line of scrimmage, and when they try to cut back, he's waiting.
Well, I think some people feel there is a little pressure on both Winnipeg defensive ends to perform well tonight. Sturdivant and Tony Norman. Norman was benched for part of last Saturday's game against the Toronto Argonauts. He is a starter tonight. The pass is complete, but Rick House isn't going anywhere. He's wrapped up immediately by Ken Haley, and the Eskimos are about 2 yards shy of a first down.
Good defense by Haley. It's that little look-in pass. You just rear up from the quarterback position and throw it, and he let him catch it but hit him immediately. You won't get any closer. Get any closer, he can go by it.
Actually, it was a good read by young Dunnigan, though. He was uncovered when he came off the line of scrimmage, and it was just an exceptional job of recovering up to the play by Haley to stop him from just a short gain.
Glenn Steele is the only man back, so the Blue Bombers are going to be rushing 11 on this third down kick by Tom Dixon. They came close to getting it with Scott Flagel coming from the outside, but Dixon got it away. Glenn Steele on the return. He was hit and driven back by Brent Murphy. Dave McNeil was also downfield.
I'd be interested to see who's snapping for third down punts. You see Steele get through the first two guys, and then he takes the good hit from McNeil, but it's Brent Murphy, the defensive end, has been snapping for third down punts, and he's had 2 questionable snaps in a row. If this continues, they're going to break it. They're going to get one of those punts.
That, along with the pressure on Dixon.
First and 10 from the 53-yard line. Pass overthrown, intended for Jerome Erdman.
Well, they want pressure. They got pressure. That's the way you go after a quarterback. Number 75, John Mandrich, put an excellent hit on Tom Clements just as he threw the football.
4:51 the time remaining in the opening quarter. 1-0 Winnipeg leads on a wide field goal attempt by Trevor Kennard.
Watch Mandrich. You can't see him right here, but he went right around the offensive tackle, got the penetration he needed, and got to Tommy on his blind side.
Second and 10 Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers at their own 53. Play action fake. Clements passing to Poplawski. First down Winnipeg at the 41. Linebacker Dave McNeil had dropped back, but could not prevent Poplawski from making the catch.
Well, that's one of their favorite patterns. You call it what you want, an over and an under. A man coming underneath the linebacker holds the linebackers, and then Clements is able to throw it in behind them to Poplawski, who's coming into the open hole.
Poplawski off to a great start this year. 16 receptions for 302 yards coming into the game. And off to Willard Reeves. He was wrapped up immediately by Mandarich, the nose guard. As a matter of fact, he's dropped for a loss of a couple. Mandarich for this game shifted to that nose guard position as Skip Hamilton was placed on waivers.
Well, that play right there demonstrates the 30 defense. Anytime you can block the man over the middle, the nose guard, one-on-one, then you can't play a 30 defense. They tried it that time, and he beat them. So we'll see what happens from here on in.
The 43, it's second and 12. Clements stepping up into the pocket, throwing deep. He's got a man wide open. Murphy couldn't catch up with it. Murphy was all by himself in behind the defender, but Clements overthrew James Murphy.
It looked almost like Murphy went down and just saw Tommy. Watch Tommy as he goes back. He looks downfield. He sees the rush coming, steps up into the pocket, then delivers. In the meantime, Murphy slowed down a little bit, and then the ball was overthrown, but it would have been a great catch if he could have got under it. Tommy wish he had that one back.
A 50-yard field goal attempt by Trevor Kennard, who was hitting them from 55 in pregame warm-up. This one is good. And the Blue Bombers lead it 4-0 with 2:58 remaining in the opening quarter. And we'll return to Commonwealth Stadium and more action right after this.
CFL 85 returns to CBC next Sunday. The Calgary Stampeders meet the Rough Riders in Ottawa live Sunday afternoon on CBC.
Well, the Stamps are still looking for their first win. Ottawa coming off a big win against Edmonton a week ago. Join Ron Lancaster, Leo Cahill, and myself at 1:30 Eastern Time Sunday afternoon from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the Stampeders and the Rough Riders. First and 10 from the 35. Nelson Jones out to the 41. Wiley Turner from his inside halfback position came in to make the tackle. Nelson Jones missed the last game against the Ottawa Rough Riders because of a leg injury. He accompanied the team east, but did not suit up.
He was on a holiday. It's a great time when you get to go east for a couple days and not have to play.
Second down, the pitch to Larry Cowan, and Larry Cowan will be very close to the first down at the 45.
Look at that.
Tony Norman came in to make the tackle. The ball was fumbled, but had the whistle gone.
Watch Conniff come out right here and make the block that allows the runner to come through here and get past the line of scrimmage. Conniff at left guard coming around number 67. Good cut block right there. And a seam open enough there to make a couple yards on the thing, but a good job by the guard.
Well, when Cowan went down, he fumbled the football, and the officials initially ruled that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had recovered.
Cal's doing a little pacing, isn't he?
But now the decision has been made that it is still Edmonton ball.
Well, I don't understand that.
And it will be 3rd and inches for the Edmonton Eskimos. The ball just shy of the 45-yard line.
I guess it's that old interpretation that the ground can't make you fumble. Cowan was pretty much on the ground before the ball came loose.
That's a topic you're rather familiar with, aren't you? Going back to 1971 and the Grey Cup game?
I don't even want to talk about that. That has, as George Burns said one time, that's been done.
So the Eskimos retain possession with 1:34 left in this opening quarter, and it will be 3rd and inches just inside the 45-yard line. Dunnigan keeps. He had to get across the 45, which he did. Not by a great deal, mind you, but he does have enough for the first down. Winnipeg leading by a score of 4-0. A single by Trevor Kennard plus a 50-yard field goal. Ball just outside the 45-yard line. Matt Dunnigan, the Edmonton quarterback. Dunnigan finds some room. He'll run this one into Winnipeg territory at the 49-yard line. Stan Nicholas made the tackle, but that's why Dunnigan is so dangerous. When he spots that opening, he'll take off on you.
The one thing you have to be afraid of is contain right here, and when Dunnigan can get to the outside, it looked like Sturdivant got hurt on that play. It's going to be trouble for the opponents. Sturdivant gets blocked right there. Dunnigan gets to the outside, or just as soon as he sees the open spot, Millicent Jones picks up there and tries to get a block for him, stays on his feet. But
well, he was blocked by Millicent Jones, and then he gets blocked again, and he gets outside. And what's impressive here is Ken Haley ran right out underneath Brian Kelly, and Joe Jackson, the linebacker, ran right on their house, and Dunnigan didn't hesitate one bit. He turned it right upfield.
The thing that Sturdivant can't do, though, is take the inside of the offensive blocker. He's got to go upfield and take the outside and cut off that rollout. He took the inside, got pinned to the inside, and there's no contain.
Brent Reset comes into the ball game to replace the injured John Sturdivant.
That's the one thing that Cal Murphy was really concerned about. And I guess everybody that plays against this Edmonton team has a like concern. But they know that Matt Dunnigan is a fine performer when he gets that open field as far as running with the football is concerned. He likes to do it too, Ron.
Yeah, he enjoys it. I mean, when he runs with the football, he actually looks for people to run over, which I think is a little crazy.
Well, you always like to run with football, didn't you?
Yeah, about 7 steps back.
First and 10 from the 49 of Winnipeg. Draw play. Larry Cowan to the 40-yard line. He has a gain of 9, stopped by Tony Norman with 4 seconds remaining in this opening quarter.
It's a good thing Tony Norman's tall, because he had a big hole to run through, and I think he just being as tall as he was, dove out and got him.
Short yardage situation. Neil Lumsden comes in. So does John Mandarich coming off for the Edmonton Eskimos. Rick House and Larry Cowan. Neil Lumsden bowls his way to the 30-yard line. Finally stopped by David Shaw. He was a determined runner on that one.
This is the thing that Neil Lundgren has done so well in the past, especially in the last part of ball games when they had to keep that ball for first downs. He'll take the ball right here on a reverse pivot. Millicent Jones leads through there, but what Lumsden does so well is stay on his feet and keep moving it directly upfield. The one thing you have to be afraid of when you do that, though, is fumbling that football. You got to hold on to it good and tight.
And that's the end of the first quarter with Winnipeg in front by 4. Starting the second quarter, 1st and 10 for the Eskimos at the 30 of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And statistically, in the first 15 minutes of play, each side had 3 first downs. Edmonton with the edge in rushing. The Blue Bombers have gained more through the air.
And the closer you get to that goal line, the more dangerous Matt Dunnigan becomes, because when he goes back to pass, you've got to have discipline in your rush lanes. First of all, you got to contain from the outside, and then you've got to get the strong rush up the middle to get that pressure on him. And if there's any kind of a breakdown in any of those lanes, he'll step up inside and take it. And he's a very, very good runner.
A warm evening here in Edmonton, a temperature of 24 degrees. One of 2 natural grass stadiums in the CFL, and an absolutely immaculate field here at Commonwealth Stadium. I'd love to have grass in my lawn at home as good as it is here. Here's the reverse with Chris Woods. Excellent job by Roy Bennett. The rookie playing that corner to fight off the block and still make the tackle, or Woods may have gone all the way for the touchdown. As it is, he has a first down.
Well, when you have the speed that Chris Wood has, you know they want to get him the ball as often as possible. And on a reverse, when he gets flow going the other way, he's got some speed. But as you say, Blanchard just couldn't knock Bennett down, and Bennett fought it off and made the hit.
That was a great job by Bennett to stay on his feet on that. But the whole defensive line went with the fake one direction. And when he came back pretty much by himself.
1st and 10 from the 20. Donegan under pressure, hit just as he threw, and that ball flipped up into the air, just into the area vacated by those blitzing linebackers. Joe Jackson made the hit. On the bench, John Sturdivant, injured a couple of plays back. Word from that Winnipeg bench is that he has suffered a sprained knee. 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 20. 4-0. Winnipeg leads. 13:47 remaining in the second quarter. Donegan swinging it out to Cowan. He's hit and dropped by Jackson.
Boy, he read that screen coming quick.
He sure did. That's 2 good plays in a row, Ron.
That's a little slip screen, it's called, where you just flip it out to the back and get them linemen out in front of him. He beat the lineman. He got across before they could get him.
This is the 3rd game for Jackson. He did not start the season with Winnipeg. Mark Stewart was the man at that linebacking position, but he was injured in the season opener against Montreal, and Jackson has improved with each game he has played, starting against Hamilton, then playing against Toronto, and tonight against Edmonton. The field goal by Tom Dixon is good, and the Edmonton Eskimos reduce the deficit to a single point with 13:07 remaining in the first half. We'll return right after this message. And the Montreal Expos involved in that pennant battle in the National League East. Still scoreless in the 7th inning with Cincinnati.
2 teams that I think are surprised this year, Cincinnati Reds and Montreal Expos.
Do you think Pete Rose is keeping his fingers crossed that there is no players' strike as he closes in on that all-time record of Ty Cobb?
Well, I would say so. You know, he had it geared for, I forget the date in August when he said it was going to happen. So he has been pushing for that. And, you know, he doesn't want to see anything disrupt that.
The one thing, you know, that amazes me about him is that he manages the team, and as much as he wants to get that record, a lot of times he don't play himself. He keeps himself out of there and plays the rotation, sticks with the rotation, and does what he thinks is best for the team.
Over in the American League, the Toronto Blue Jays defeated the California Angels 7-0. Those Jays continue to roll. Sean Kehoe takes it out of bounds at the 41.5-yard line. Cliff Toney was in there to make the tackle. Are you still a Pittsburgh Pirate fan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to wait another year. I don't think they can make that run in September.
The only run they're going to have in September is going to be with the Steelers.
Steelers would probably beat them in baseball.
Second down at the 41 and a half. Clements out into the flat, intended for Poplawski, incomplete. Poplawski protesting to the official that he was hindered out there, and Tom Clements was decked by Stuart Hill, and he is very slow in getting to his feet.
You know, Don, that is a sight that Jackie Parker has to be happy with. I mean, not that Clements is injured, but they have only 4 quarterback sacks in their first 3 games, and that just isn't enough. And that man right there, Stuart Hill, last year was their leader. He was the guy that made them go when he rushed their quarterback, and that's the first time he's put a good hit on him. Look at him. He's coming clean. Nobody really touches him. And watch the hit. Oh, yeah, that hurts. That will hurt.
And if that gets up in that rib cage, that can be sore for a long time. You know that, Ron. I think Tommy used to wear those guards for the ribs. I think maybe he's got one tonight. That probably saved him from having a broken rib.
That man will be breathing a lot easier with him walking off the field.
Well, of course, after acquiring Clements from the Hamilton Tiger Cats in that 1983 trade, Clements suffered that broken collarbone. Then he suffered a second broken collarbone, and I think every time he goes down now, there is concern on the part of Winnipeg coach Cal Murphy. But as was demonstrated last Saturday, a most capable replacement in John Hufnagel. Bob Cameron's third down kick. Fielded by Chris Wood. Woods at the 30-yard line. Still in his feet with some blocking help. And he fights his way out to the 46. Stopped by Scott Flagel. There's also a penalty flag on the play. A kick of 41 yards by Bob Cameron.
I couldn't catch the number, but there was definitely a block from the rear. And it's an excellent call by the official. I think Ken Haley's the guy that got hit, but I'm just not sure who hit him.
I think it was Joe Holloman.
Joe knows better than that.
Illegal block. Edmonton number 29. First down.
Good call, Leo. It indeed was Joe Holloman, the veteran cornerback.
We're going to get a look at it right here. See Joe right there coming from the back. Got on Haley's back, and the official was right there to see it. You know, a lot of times we fault the officials for these plays.
What do you mean we?
Penalties being dropped on these kick returns, but that was just as flagrant as could be.
An injured Winnipeg player, Willard Reeves. This has not been a good night for the Blue Bombers. Tom Clements down. Willard Reeves down. John Sturdivant went out of the ball game earlier.
You know, Don, I was thinking back to the injury to Clements. When you throw the football, you exhale as you throw that ball out there, and it doesn't take a great big shot to knock the rest of that wind out of you. Tom seemed to bounce back up in a hurry as he was going off the field, and he's got those rib pads on. He's okay.
Why would you exhale after you throw the ball?
You let it go.
Damon Allen warming up at that Edmonton bench. We saw him do much the same in Ottawa. We thought that perhaps he was going to get in much earlier against the Rough Riders than he did. He stays loose during the entire game. Pressure applied that time by Tyrone Jones coming from the other side, and you get an idea of just how quick Tyrone Jones is as he came from the backside to track down quarterback Matt Dunnigan.
Watch Tyrone come right around. He didn't have any blocking on him that time and really went through there. And, you know, Matt Dunnigan used pretty good judgment on this. He just saw him coming and took one step forward and says, wait a minute, I'm not going to go any further on this thing.
Excellent judgment. If you notice down there, Bennett, number 23, never moved. They changed the defense on Dunnigan. It surprised him.
Second down. Dunnigan is going to run with the ball. He finds that opening. He's got the first down. Brought down by Tony Norman, but not before he had carried to the 51-yard line.
That's exactly what we talked about before. He has that great ability to take a look at those rush lanes. He'll drop back here, and he'll see that inside open up. He just comes right through there, and he gets a couple of blocks in there. Some people helped him, but he's dangerous every time he crosses that line of scrimmage.
He's averaging better than 10 yards per carry. That run for 15 yards. And it's first down, the draw play with Larry Cowan. And Cowan is another big gainer to the Winnipeg 40s. Finally stopped by Ken Haley.
That looks the way you diagram it on the board, because he went through the main part, that line of scrimmage, untouched.
Right here, the handoff to him, and he comes right through, and the line just opened it up in that position right there, and it's wide open when he gets there. A good turnout block by Millicent Jones, number 34, and he's out into the open field.
Back to the live action, 1st and 10. The ball from just outside the Winnipeg 40. Pass to Millicent Jones to the Winnipeg 31-yard line.
That's the play where the quarterback takes a chance on the receiver. He saw the blitz coming. The linebackers were right up on the line, and they came immediately, and he just dumped it over, and Millicent Jones turned and caught it behind him. That's a gamble by the quarterback, but it worked.
A gain of 9. It will be 2nd and 1 Edmonton as Rick House comes out. John Mandarich moves in.
I'll tell you, one of the most improved players this year has got to be Millicent Jones. He's really got his feet on the ground.
He initially started with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a Winnipeg product, graduating from the University of North Dakota. Dunnigan throwing, it's picked off by Scott Flagel. Flagel could go all the way, but there are penalty flags. This one will probably be called back. And Flagel goes all the way, but he'll look back and see those red flags.
Well, it's unfortunate for Scott Flagel. He's such an outstanding athlete, and it was an outstanding catch. But there was a clip, and flags came immediately. So
Dunnigan come into a bootleg on that play, and when he went to the outside, I thought that Kelly broke open deep down there, but he went to the short man and had it intercepted.
9 minutes, the time remaining in this first half.
As the weather heats up, it's comforting to know that this Ford Tempo can be made to feel as cool as this Ford Tempo. Now get air conditioning at no extra cost on selected models of specially equipped Ford Tempos. A neat switch for the hottest selling compact car in Canada. Ford Tempo, now with 9.9% financing, as well as air conditioning at no extra cost. That's cool. Have you driven the best-built North American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
CFL 85 returns to CBC next Thursday night as the BC Lions meet the Argonauts in Toronto. CFL 85 on CBC.
A great interception and return by Scott Flagel, but the effort will be brought back. The interception will stand, but a blocking from the rear infraction right there, I believe.
sure was. Hit him right in the back. And that's what sprung him. So, I mean, it's a great call. Very disappointing for Cal Murphy, but that man's going to be happy.
It's got to be very disappointing for Scott Flagel, too, because that was a superhuman effort on his part. Number one, a great catch for the interception, and then a fine job of picking up his interference and running down the sidelines.
I remember when Scott Flagel first came to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Ray Yock said, he's such a great athlete, we have to find a spot for him on the team. He said, we recruited him first as an athlete. Clements is back in there, so obviously he's all right. James Murphy on the receiving end. He goes down very close to a first down. Could be that Clements simply had the wind knocked out of him on that hit by Stuart Hill.
Yeah, he doesn't, nothing seems to be bothering him. He's okay. Quarterbacks are tough, man.
They're sending that Stuart Hill almost every time from the outside and using his great speed, and for some reason they're not picking him up.
One thing Edmonton does do is give you an awful lot of different looks defensively.
Yeah, I was really surprised to hear how many different defenses that they do try to play in a ball game. Most teams will have maybe 2 or 3, and that's about it, because you can't prepare everything. And to hear that they give you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different looks, that's tough.
It's really tough. You have to be an experienced quarterback to be able to handle that kind of a situation.
So for Winnipeg, it is 2nd and inches. 8:25 the time remaining in this second quarter. Clements this time keeps. He has the first down.
There's Matt Dunnigan getting some advice from upstairs where the coaches are trying to pick something out for him that he can find that he likes.
I can't hear you.
But he's doing a fine job.
I heard him say he couldn't hear him.
Check your 61, making sure.
He's having trouble with his audio system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On his wrist, list, you may notice a number of plays, more or less a ready list for certain yardage situations. Clements over the middle to Jerome Erdman, and Erdman stays on his feet into Edmonton territory to the 48-yard line. Stopped there by Dave McNeil.
Good job by Tom Clements. He wanted to go to that quick out to the outside receiver, and I'll tell you what, Darrell Hall didn't move, and he wasn't open, and Tom looked right back in the middle, and there's, what do you know, there's Jerome Erdman loafing along with nothing to do but catch the ball.
James Murphy on the sidelines trying to stay in bounds to get extra yardage. He has the ball stolen away from him by Joe Holloman, but the play had been whistled down. Holloman ripped that ball right out of his arms, and he was headed for the end zone.
I'll tell you, the factor there is whether the whistle has blown or not. Murphy starts, and then he's bracketed right there. Now, if the whistle blows there, it's a dead play. But Joe Holloman did take the ball right out of his hands, and had the whistle not blown, it should have been Edmonton's ball going down the sidelines.
Well, his forward momentum stopped, and he was being shoved backwards.
Second and just over a yard, Winnipeg. Willard Reeves, good haul, and he gets to the Edmonton 33-yard line.
Go ahead, Don.
I was just going to say on Sunday we're going to be in Ottawa for the game between Ottawa and Calgary. We were there last Thursday for the game involving Edmonton and Ottawa, and our technical producer Norm Brody unfortunately was hospitalized during the course of that game. Norm, if you're looking in this evening, we all hope that your recovery is progressing well, and we'll drop in and pay you a visit over the weekend. Willard Reeves, the ball carrier at the 29, driven back by John Mandarich.
Willard is limping just a little bit out there.
You know, Don, talking about the game Sunday, we'll see which one of the run and shoots are the best, I guess. They're both playing it.
That's right. Willard Reeves goes down to one knee. He was hurt earlier, came back on his last carry, was limping, and he is a little upset with what has happened in this ball game.
Boy, the psychology of losing a guy like him, it really can take the wind out of your sails as a football team, because he means so much to that football team. He adds so much to it. He's such a definite threat. We'll be back.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I was right in the middle of some work, and I couldn't find a place to stop.
Work? Oh, with the Jackson Freeman.
Yes.
I hope I haven't held up things too much.
No, not at all. Brandon just called. He won't be here for at least another hour.
As our CBC commentators select the Carling O'Keefe Game Stars.
At the Winnipeg bench, the concern over Willard Reeves, and you'll see perhaps what happens here. Mandarich appears to come across on his left leg along with McNeil, and I don't know whether it's the knee or the ankle they're closely scrutinizing over at that Winnipeg bench. Second down, the pass is complete. Joe Poplawski was driven back. He'll be very close to that forward marker. He was hit by James Bell, but his forward progress was in the vicinity of the 23-yard line, and that should be a first down.
Boy, it looked like that ball hung out there for a long time, and Bell was closing on it.
4:51 the time remaining. A first down Winnipeg from the 23 of the Eskimos. The Blue Bombers lead the Eskimos by a score of 4-3. Kantner is in there along with Sean Kehoe. Complete to Jerome Erdman, and Erdman is wrestled down at the 14-yard line by Joe Holloman.
Well, Erdman just got a step on Cliff Toney, and Clements hit him perfectly. It's just a foot race, and he's already in motion. He's got momentum going, and that gives him that little extra edge.
Well, with Willard Reeves out of there now, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will obviously be concentrating on a passing game. Pat Kantner and Sean Kehoe in the running back spot. Second and a yard. Sean Keogh gets the call and should have the first down as he fights his way to about the 12-yard line.
Well, that was great second effort on Kehoe's part there. He was stopped behind the line of scrimmage, spun to the right, then back to the left, and got that first down.
Well, Sean Keogh is a University of Alberta product. He actually came to Winnipeg in 1983, on July 2nd to be exact, along with Willard Reeves and Jeff Boyd.
Not a bad trade. 3 starters.
Well, without Willard Reeves in there, Tommy is going to be throwing this football, it looks like.
Throwing it into the end zone, Poplowski, incomplete. James Bell defending, and interference is being called against Bell.
Well, that time it looked like they sent everybody in the regimental combat team.
Well, you see Lauren Delorier, number 15, will show up shortly. There he comes. Safety blitz. Tom Gamble, you make your own choice on this interference call.
Interference. Edmonton, number 17, first down.
I think it was a pretty good call. I think that he just ran right into the pass receiver as the pass receiver was waiting for the ball. I think he probably could have picked off that ball without making contact.
First and goal from the 1-yard line. Touchdown as Tom Clements keeps for the major score.
Well, there's going to be a lot of controversy over there, Ryan. You can tell, especially by the fans here in Edmonton. But actually, Bell, when he located the ball and went back to the ball, we're going to get a look at it. Now, this is Tommy's quarterback sneak. He takes the ball and just follows the rush of that left side of the offensive line, and they just move that defensive unit right off the line of scrimmage, and he goes in for the touchdown.
The point after by Trevor Kennard, and with 3:06 remaining in the half, it's now an 11-3 game. The Blue Bombers in front of the Edmonton Eskimos, and will return to Commonwealth Stadium and the Winnipeg kickoff right after this.
On Showtime.
Yes, we extend that warm welcome to all our viewers across the country from the scoreboard here at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. And at halftime, we'll have an update on the Montreal Concords, a team that is undefeated so far this season through preseason and regular season play, 7 games in all. A collision, a loose ball, who's got it? Winnipeg has recovered. 2 Edmonton players, Marco Sinkar and I believe Chris Woods, collided in going after that short kickoff by Trevor Kennard, and the ball popped loose. Make it Joe Holloman colliding with Sinkar.
It was a case of Joe Holloman coming from a long way, Don, and Sinkar was looking over his shoulder, never saw Holloman coming, and Holloman, in his effort to get to the ball, didn't see Sinkar, and it was just a collision, that's all.
And both players are hurt.
There's an old saying on those type of plays that man in the second line never backs up to catch the ball because that guy is going to come get it. See, Holloman knows if it's over his head, it's his, and he's going back to get it.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a collision,
that is,
too.
You know, Holloman's 210, 215 pounds with a full head of speed. That's an awful hit.
And, of course, Sinkar in that position, not expecting to be hit.
Jackie Parker saying there on the sidelines. Look at Jackie. He's saying, is anything else going to happen to us tonight? Can you imagine that? Somebody's got to call for that thing.
And both Sinkar and Holloman are still down. They're checking the right knee of Joe Holloman.
Well, you see Joe's got that head of speed up. He's going to get it. Sinkar's just not expecting it.
They're both looking for the ball. Neither one of them see the other guy coming, and somebody either on the team away from those 2 people have got to yell and say Holloman's got it or Sinkar's got it, because neither one of those players knew that the other guy was there.
Marco Sinkar, a University of Alberta product, 6 feet, 173, and Joe Holloman out of Arkansas State, the veteran at that cornerback position, 6 feet, 210 pounds.
Joe probably wishes he had this size when he was at Arkansas State. He was a running back down there. He wasn't quite 210 pounds then, but if he was a running back at 210, that's a great size.
Well, when you take a guy like Holloman out of that defensive secondary, Clements is over there licking his lips because he knows that that cornerback is one of the toughest positions to play, and they've got to make an adjustment now and put somebody on that corner.
Well, we'll see how long it takes him to go after Cliff Toney, because that's who's going out on the corner, and Treflin will go to the inside.
That's exactly what they're doing.
We'll see how long it takes Tom to find him. Well, that's too bad.
Joe Holloman, who is the veteran among CFL cornerbacks, being assisted to the Eskimo bench. So Cliff Toney will take his spot on the corner. Treflin will go inside, and Marco Sincar will catch his breath back at the Edmonton bench.
They got Murphy on this side now on Toney, and if Toney is smart, Toney will give him a lot of room on the outside.
First and 10, Winnipeg with the fumble recovery. There's the reverse with James Murphy. Looking for Nick Messiah to throw a block. He gets one, but coming in to make the tackle was Laurent Delorier from his safety position, stopping Murphy after a pickup of about 5 yards.
Well, both teams want to put that flanker reverse in tonight and liven things up.
Hey, old Nick Messiah, number 65, got around that corner pretty good.
They're checking the right knee of Joe Holloman, and over on the Winnipeg bench, word is that Willard Reeves has a suspected sprained ankle. Pass is picked off. This could go for a touchdown. No, Darrell Hall is tripped up by the only man who had a shot at him, quarterback Tom Clements.
Those quarterbacks don't miss tackles on those interceptions.
Is this Bass here? Comes from the outside, and he comes around from this side right there. They put the pressure on Tommy Clements as he goes back, and the ball is just thrown a little bit off target. Watch Bass come there from the inside, number 30. Gets his hands up just enough to allow the vision of Tommy Clements to be shut down just a little bit, and Hall picks off the interception, and only for a good open field tackle could have gone all the way.
Now the screen by the Eskimos, but Nelson Jones is wrapped up immediately by Tony Norman after a pickup of about 1. So Darrell Hall picks off that pass that Tom Clements threw, and that, I believe, is the 7th time this year that Clements has been intercepted.
Yeah, he's just had that rocky start. Can't seem to get things going his way when he wants it. Right there on that particular play, Tony Norman made a great play for a defensive end. He was blocked, he got down, he got back up and made the hit.
Good read by Tony Norman.
Second down, and under pressure is Dunnigan again. Scott Flagel had come in from his safety position, and Chris Woods is on the receiving end of that Dunnigan throw. He was brought down by David Shaw, but Scott Flagel was blitzing from his safety position, and that was the pressure being applied to quarterback Matt Dunnigan, who spotted Chris Woods for the completion.
And what a good job Chris Woods did of coming back and helping Dunnigan. Chris went down and was going deep, and he saw Dunnigan get out of trouble and roll back to his left, and he came back toward him, and Dunnigan got him the ball.
That's what Dunnigan does so well. He's so quick.
That completion comes with 2:02 remaining in the half. Winnipeg leading 11-3.
There's Joe Holloman on the bench, and it looks like he's having a degree of pain in that knee.
Well, the Blue Bombers, it appeared, had a great opportunity to take a rather commanding lead going into the dressing room at halftime after that fumble recovery on the kickoff. But Clements with that interception, his 7th of the year, and the Edmonton Eskimos now have a chance to narrow that gap.
Yeah, nobody feels worse about it than Tom. I mean, he knows he had the opportunity to put it in there, and it's just one of those things he's got to fight himself through it.
Draw play with Nelson Jones. He's forced out of bounds down at the 17-yard line.
Don, you know, Leo will vote for Milton Jones for the Carling O'Keefe offensive player for one reason. When he came up through the line, he switched the ball to the outside hand. Watch him. He's got it in his left. Great job. Now he gets to the open field. He switches it right out into the other arm.
That shows a good coach. Good coaching. Get that ball out of danger.
Definitely a candidate right now.
36 yards on the gain by Nelson Jones. Larry Cowan gets the call this time inside the 10. Stopped there by Stan McCullough. At halftime, a report on the undefeated Montreal Concords who play BC Saturday night, the CFL Stars of the Week. And Scott Oak will talk to 3 members of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers about the pressure of defending the Grey Cup. In addition, Brian Williams will keep you up to date on all other developments today in the world of sport. Neil Lumsden fights to the 5, maybe the 4-yard line, before being stopped by Roy Bennett. So that will be another Edmonton first down. And with 1:11 left in the half, it will be first and goal. How quickly the tide can turn.
Boy, Wiley Turner learned one thing right there. You don't arm tackle a big man like Lumsden. He had a shot at him in the backfield and reached out with one arm. It didn't even slow Lumsden down one bit.
And here first and goal from the 4-yard line.
Here again, it's going to be a running play probably to start out with, but no, it's an action play, and he's going to take it in by himself. I was just going to refer to that it should have probably been a running play down that close, but the Dunnigan was dangerous. And he'll run a off-tackle fake on a reverse pivot, take the ball to the fullback off tackle. You'll see it right here. Reverse pivot to Lumsden right there, and he just keeps the ball himself and comes to the outside. And the whole defensive line closed on the guy going off tackle, and he went in there all by himself. Just a good job by Dunnigan.
Do you know who was the best at that I've ever seen?
Russ Jackson.
Russ Jackson. Did that many, many times. Everybody knew he was going to do it, and he still did it.
The point after by Dixon. It is good. And it's now an 11-10 game with 53 seconds remaining in this first half.
Watch the reverse pivot here. Lumsden makes a good fake there. Everybody closes in on Lumsden. Dunnigan just takes the ball. He's carrying that ball a little loose in that right hand. But he's wide open as he comes around that corner with everybody. There's only one guy, Scott Fagel, sees it from the inside, but there's just foot speed right there, and Dunnigan outruns him to the corner.
Well, as I said earlier, how quickly the tides can turn. It looked as though Winnipeg leading 11-3, and with that fumble recovery might go in for another major score.
Yeah, they had the opportunity to do it, and it's that's one of the things that Coach Murphy will be a little disappointed in. You have to have the killer instinct. When you got the chance to put them away, you got to do it.
You know, a sequence you don't see very much anymore, Ron, is that fake off tackle like the Lumsden that time, and then come off that fake and throw to the back into the backfield on the play-action pass, or use that run that Dunnigan did. Very few people use that anymore, and it was very effective.
Sean Kehoe on the return, hit by Frank Balkovec. Balkovec was activated for this game because of his work on special teams.
He looks like he's blocked, but I'll tell you, he gets away from that block immediately. Look, it looks like he's in pretty good shape. Vernon Paul had a pretty good hit on him, but he just threw him away.
Balkovec activated for this game, a University of Toronto product, originally drafted by British Columbia. First and 10, Winnipeg from the 24 to the sidelines, incomplete, intended for Sean Kehoe. 44 seconds remaining in this first half. Joe Holloman with an injured knee. He has an ice pack on that knee. He appears to be in considerable pain as he remains at that Edmonton Eskimo bench.
He's an old
Second and 10.
He was one of your roommates in an All-Star game, wasn't he, Ron?
My old roommate.
Clemens has James Murphy wide open on the sidelines. A first down, Winnipeg at the 42.
Boy, that was a great pattern. Murphy went down and he took Darrell Hall deep, and all of a sudden turned outside and he was wide open, and Hall looked for him and fell down before he could get there.
There was that play-action fake that I was talking about off tackle, where Clemens just came out there and faked to the fullback off tackle, then came off of that fake and hit Murphy deep.
John Bonk, the injured Winnipeg player, with 37 seconds remaining in this first half. Winnipeg leading by a single point. John Bonk has a television program in the Winnipeg market that he is involved in and is also seen on other network stations across the country. Body Talk. And when you take a look at his body, he is certainly an authority to speak on developing those quads.
I don't think anybody will argue with him.
Mark Moores will replace John Bonk at that center position. He has biceps that don't quit.
I know. He's awful. A lot bigger than I ever remember him. I don't know why.
The screen to James Murphy. It's incomplete.
Almost looked like that ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. I couldn't really get a good look at it, but it just didn't get out there. And I know Tom can throw the ball that far.
You know, a lot of times when a quarterback takes that two-step drop and throws that pass, you blame the quarterback for his incompletions, but a lot of times the line can cause the problems if they're not getting down and getting low enough in their blocks.
Well, you got to throw at those defensive men, make them get those hands down so they can't put them up there.
Clements over the middle, incomplete. That one should have been caught by James Murphy. Oh, he was moving, and he had some blocking help set up down that left-hand side of the field had he been able to hang on.
He's not too open, is he? Oh, he's going to catch that in stride.
It's one of those situations where he was so open that he was looking to run before he caught the ball.
29 seconds remaining in the half. Just Chris Woods back to receive this third down punt by Bob Cameron.
What a punt.
Woods goes back to his 5-yard line. Woods is still going and then forced out of bounds at the 43 with 14 seconds left. Cliff Coney threw the initial block that enabled Chris Woods to utilize his speed to the outside.
You know, Don, there's 2 times you get, normally we'll get good punt returns. One, when the ball's kicked real low and the guy can get it before the other guys get down there. And the second one is when the punter puts it so far down that he outkicks his coverage and allows that wall to set up, and it was set up perfect. It was pretty. That was a 63-yard kick by Cameron and the run back of 38 by Chris Woods. 14 seconds left in the half. Let's see what the Eskimos do. They have time for a couple of plays. Donegan won't get the pass away. That takes the clock down to 9 seconds. He was wrapped up by Tyrone Jones. Well, if you can keep him in the pocket, you have a chance to sack him.
Tyrone Jones comes, penetrates in here, he's blocked, and then he spins and stays on his feet and does an excellent job there of staying after the quarterback. Watch him here, number 35.
Live action with Jones and Tony Norman chasing Donegan again. Donegan throwing downfield. It's picked off by the Blue Bombers, David Shaw. And Shaw is stopped at the 49-yard line as time runs out in the first half at Commonwealth Stadium, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers enjoying a 1-point advantage over the Edmonton Eskimos. And now we invite you to stay tuned for our halftime show.
In a blind taste test across Canada, more people chose the taste of Diet Sprite over the new taste of Diet 7-Up.
The great lemon lime taste of Diet Sprite.
Clear and sparkling.
Refreshing Diet Sprite.
With the lemon lime taste, more people chose over the new taste of Diet 7-Up in a blind taste test across Canada.
Try Diet Sprite. It's exactly right.
Right now, there's one place in town where $1 is worth more, a whole lot more, because Dollar Days are on now at Zellers. No matter where you turn throughout the store, you'll find aisle after aisle of items you use every day at incredible Dollar Days prices. Like all these items and more, your choice, just $1 each. And assorted tools or a 5-pack of Sale wool, now just $3 each. So take advantage of the savings and get to Zellers before Dollar Days are over. Zellers, only you'll know how little you paid.
It is halftime. Winnipeg leading Edmonton by a single point. Coming up, Scott Oak will report on some of the pressures affecting the defending Grey Cup champions. Right now, we update Major League Baseball. Dave Stieb winning his 10th game of the year tonight as the Blue Jays defeat Western Division leading California. The New York Yankees did not play. That means Toronto's lead now 5 full games in that tough Eastern Division. At Olympic Stadium tonight, Gullick's in the winner. Montreal shuts out Cincinnati 1-0. The St. Louis Cardinals defeated San Diego. Montreal still trailing by 3.5 games in that National League Eastern Division. Joe Gallant has always promised that he would bring football respectability back to the city of Montreal. He has certainly done that. And tonight, Derek Fitzgerald reports on the newfound Concord's confidence.
The skies are clear over Montreal's Olympic Stadium, and with good reason.
the Montreal Concord are #1 in the CFL East. It's taken a few years, but the club has matured, and that maturity seems to be making a big difference this season. Concord sophomore quarterback Turner Gill.
Well, I think so. That's the key to it all. We know each other. We know what to expect out of each other, and we came back and knew we had some good things going last year, and we just had some tight games that we lost. And this year we're winning those tight ball games. I think that just goes with the character we have built, the confidence, the right attitude, and all those things that are put together this year. And I think that's why we're successful.
6-year veteran Doug Scott is defensive captain of the Cords. He agrees that maturity has a lot to do with the club's success.
I think he hit the nail right on the head. It is a thing of maturity over the last couple of years. It's a young team, but we've grown together, and I think we believe in each other.
There is a real closeness on the Cords. The players like each other. They can depend on one another with confidence. And that's something that Coach Joe Galat says the team needed to develop.
That's exactly what we had hoped for, that the players would develop as they got additional experience. I think we're the youngest team in the league, statistically, about 26 games experience, a little over a year and a half experience on the ball club, and we're going to be better and better as we learn to play together.
That confidence will help the team should the bubble burst with Montreal's first loss this season.
The biggest thing is not to get overconfidence about the team and about yourself. I don't think we have that problem. We start off the season real well right now, but we know that we can handle the loss if it comes or when it comes or whatever. We just got to take the loss, add it, and forget about it and go and get ready for the next game.
Well, they head west tomorrow morning. Their next game is Saturday night against the undefeated Lions in Vancouver. Right now, as our halftime show continues, let's have a look at the CFL Stars of the Week. The BC Lions' Nick Hepler is lineman of the week after plays like this against Calgary quarterback Joe Barnes. The defensive star, Montreal's Ken Ciancone, slashing his way to 11 individual tackles against Saskatchewan and 1 interception. The offensive star of the week, Derek Zeno from the Ottawa Roughriders, turned in the second-best punt return game in CFL history, 203 yards on 7 returns, one of them for this 74-yard touchdown. He also had a second touchdown on a pass from J.C. Watts. And speaking of the Ottawa Roughriders, we'll be in Ottawa Sunday afternoon for the game between Calgary and Ottawa. Stay with us. CFL 85 continues right after this. Still to come, Ron and Leah will take a look at the first half stats in Edmonton, but right now, Scott Oak in Winnipeg is standing by to report on the pressures affecting the Bombers.
22 years went by before the Bombers won this Grey Cup, so defending it's a brand new experience for all of these players. And early in the season, they have felt the pressure that goes with being champions. Veteran Canadian offensive lineman Chris Walby felt it at Olympic Stadium in Montreal in the Bombers' first game of the season.
Well, I think the big thing is that no matter who you play, everybody's up for you. And it's not like last year where you could have an off game and maybe come out on top. This year, I think if we have an off game and play a team that maybe a so-called weak sister, they're going to end up being victorious against us.
How do you think the Grey Cup manifests itself? I mean, do you really believe that players and other teams are coming harder at you on every play because you're the Grey Cup champions?
Well, I think they come hard every player, else they wouldn't be playing there. I mean, this is their job too. And if they don't come hard, and the coaches watch films after every game, and they're broken down individually, if he sees a player starting to slough in certain parts of the game, he's either out of shape or he's going to look for a new job. So
no, but harder because you're the Grey Cup champions, harder than usual?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I think that they come hard, and I think everybody wants to beat us, and I think everybody doesn't have a problem to get up for us any. It's when you're playing the top team, everybody wants to play better against you, to see how you fare against us, like Montreal, and they fared pretty well against us. So it's like that, you know.
For veteran receiver Joe Poplawski, the story is much the same. He expects the opposition to be keyed up for the Bombers. With that in mind, I asked him if his game preparation has changed from last year.
As far as preparing for a game, there is no real difference. All you can really do is go out and practice hard each day and prepare yourself for every type. I'm talking about an offensive player now, preparing for every defense that you're going to be coming up against and what your role is, what your duty is on each defense for each play. So as far as that goes, I really don't think there's any difference as far as preparing yourself for the game. The one thing that I found myself doing a little bit more this year than last year is ignoring the media, ignoring the newspaper articles and whatnot, and basically just taking it all upon myself and forgetting about what's happening out there.
Ignoring why?
Well, I find that what's happening is that we came out a little bit of a slow start this year, and I think the media tend to be looking for reasons for that. And what I don't want to be concerned with is listening to what, reasons are. Perhaps we are starting a little bit slower and the media's throwing their ideas at us. I don't want to be bothered with that. I just want to be bothered with what my duty is on the game field.
But I would suspect that it goes with the territory, which is to say that a loss in your first game is a lot harder for the media and the fans to accept when you're the Grey Cup champions.
No doubt about it, and let's face it, the object or the duty of each individual dealing with the media or working for the press or whatever is to make a story and is to get the eye of the public. And because of that, they are looking for a story. What's wrong with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when there's really nothing wrong at all?
Which is the story we're trying to make right now, I guess.
That's right.
For place kicker Trevor Kennard, the season did not get off to a banner start. After 2 games, he was only 5 for 9. Did it have anything to do with a false sense of security in being a Grey Cup champion?
No, definitely not. And in place kicking, there are no easy answers. And basically, I did not play well in our preseason. There was all kinds of factors. We had a very wet training camp. We didn't work on our place kicking all that much during camp, and that wasn't anyone's fault. It was basically a weatherman's fault. And the timing is a real factor in place kicking. And earlier on in preseason, there was just no timing. Now all those problems are over. I'm kicking the ball, and we have a great center and a great holder on our football club. So personally, I feel any problems are past.
About 7 months ago, you were cheered by thousands of fans across the street at the Winnipeg Arena, and then you were cheered again the next day in a parade. All that because you'd won the Grey Cup championship, and you personally played a prominent role. And then during the preseason here, you were booed by the fans. That's about as about a face as you can make, isn't it?
Well, when you say booed by the fans, we had, in the neighborhood of 27,000, 28,000 fans. They weren't all booing, and some of them were cheering Lou, Lou, Lou. And
no, Trevor, he was miles away.
Yeah, he was miles away. No, yeah, it certainly doesn't feel good, and that's something I don't like. I think had I been a 22-year-old place kicker, I would have been crying all the way home. And even though I don't want to hear any boos, I think that's happened to every kicker that's ever played. And it certainly doesn't bother me to the point where it's going to have any bearing on my kicks. And I feel good right now, and I know what the fan is like. I'm a fan myself, and once the field goals start going through, they'll be cheering just as loudly as they were booing.
In short, perhaps this business of Grey Cup pressure is slightly blown out of proportion. If these champions do feel pressure, it's not from the fans or the media, it's from within.
I don't think there's a lot of pressure. I think the only pressure that Zara has put on by ourselves to be a repeat champions, and I think that's in the back of everybody's mind in the clubhouse, is we want to be there in Montreal in November.
And our thanks to CBC's Scott Oak in Winnipeg. Right now, let's go back out to Edmonton. Don Whitman, bring us up to date with those first half CompuStats.
Well, in that first half, it appeared as though the Winnipeg Blue Bombers might just wrap things up after a fumble recovery on the kickoff, but then an interception with Darrell Hall returning the ball set the stage for Edmonton to come back with a touchdown and narrow the gap to just a single point. Statistically, the two sides were pretty even as far as first downs were concerned, and in terms of total offense, with Edmonton having a big edge along the ground. Winnipeg's yardage accumulated mainly through the air. Willard Reeves left the game with a sprained ankle in the second quarter. Joe Holloman for Edmonton is out with a knee injury. We'll be back with more action from Commonwealth Stadium in just a moment.
Born from the earth millions of years ago, no two diamonds are alike. Every diamond is rare, but there are some diamonds whose cut, color, clarity, and carat weight make them especially unique. Diamonds of quality. When thinking of her, think quality first.
Nova Goldsmiths, Kingsville, Ontario. fresh potatoes. But they're not potato chips until you slice them. You can slice them thin, or you can slice them thick. New O'Grady's potato chips are sliced thick because thicker means more potato taste in each chip, with a deeper cut for a serious crunch. Look, if you want the real taste of more potato, you want a thicker potato chip. O'Grady's brand, the more potato chip.
And repeating that baseball, the Blue Jays defeat California. They lead the Yankees by 5. The Expos over Cincinnati. They trail St. Louis by 3.5. Once again, Ron Lancaster and Leo Cahill.
Well, 11-10 Winnipeg at the half, and if you think the game was physical, we lost Willard Reeves and Joe Holloman, two of the guys that will have a big bearing on the second half. Leo, what do you think?
I think that's going to be the trend in the second half. Tommy Clements is going to go to his passing game, and that's for sure, Ron. And Joe Holloman being off that right corner, I'm sure he's going to go to work on Tony over there in the right corner. I think that's what we're going to see in the second half.
That's for sure. One of the men that played so well in the first half, Don Whitman had a chance to talk to him. He's safety man Scott Flagel, who made a key interception.
Scott Flagel, a fine interception in that first half. You thought you had a touchdown, but you saw those red flags as you looked back down the field.
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised, actually. I heard the crowd, and I kind of thought there'd be a penalty somewhere. And it's really kind of disappointing for myself, and I think for the team, it would really been a good touchdown to get.
Scott, you've been doing a lot of blitzing from that safety position tonight.
Yeah, we're trying to get some contain on Matt Dunnigan. And the way we run our defense is they're just trying to get the extra contain man.
What will you have to do in the second half?
A lot more of the same, except better. I think we got to really kind of, keep him from running, and if we can do that, force him to throw the ball down the field, I think we have the people that can stop their receivers.
Good luck in the second half.
All right, thanks, Don.
Well, there's Chris Woods picking it up in the second half and getting out to about the 25, 28-yard line. No, actually, it's only about the 20-yard line, 21-yard line. Excellent coverage there by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming downfield, and that's going to mean a lot in the second half.
Field position.
And Scott Flagel went limping back to his safety position. He is on that kickoff coverage unit for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He was shaken up just a little. Dunnigan sees the blitz coming and manages to get the pass away, and the coverage of Joe Jackson. It's ruled as interference on Larry Cowan, drawing a penalty flag. But Dunnigan saw Patterson blitzing from that inside linebacking position and got away from it.
Well, that's another one of those calls, pass interference, and it's a judgment call.
Defensive pass interference, Winnipeg number 53, first down.
We've seen this quite often in the last couple of weeks where a linebacker will flatten out into a pursuit position to try to get in front of an interception or something and step on the heel of the pass receiver, and it's called as pass interference. So I guess that's the only way that they can interpret it.
And one question.
10 from the 25. Dunnigan pulls it down, and he'll run with it. He has a gain of about 6 yards. He ran away from Brent Rossett, who was playing that defensive end spot in place of John Sturdivant, who was hurt in the first quarter.
The only question on the interference call is whether the receiver can catch the pass. If the referee rules that he could have caught the pass, then he calls it. If it would have been too far out and he said he couldn't have got near it, there wouldn't have been a flag.
Well, I think he should have been an official. You know that? He got those rules down pat so well.
You got to do your homework, Leo. You got to read those books. All you do is tear out the pages.
You only have one characteristic you have about reading.
Tyrone Jones grabs Larry Cowan on that pitch and stops him from getting a first down. Let's see where they place that football. I believe it will be at least 2 yards short.
Yeah, and a good thing they're kicking the football. That's speed. That's something you can't teach, and Tyrone Jones has it. Boy, he really picks it up. Huffer's just relaxing.
Well, will we get to see John Hufnagel in this ball game? Cal Murphy inserted John Hufnagel into the ball game in the third quarter against Toronto to ignite a comeback and a 28-27 win. Good kick by Tom Dixon. Murphy goes back to the 20-yard line. And Murphy is stopped at the 25 as John Daly rode him to the turf. Leo Blanchard was the first man downfield to apply pressure.
Now, both teams have the imposition with Holloman being out of there on the defense for Edmonton and Willard Reeves being out there on offense. So, as we mentioned, starting this half, field position is going to be very, very important. It could end up being a kicking game as to who's going to decide who's going to be the winner of this game.
So far, the Blue Bombers have not gone to James Hood, who is playing that other wide receiver position in place of the injured Jeff Boyd. This time the pass goes to Hood, and he makes the catch on a deflection. That ball was deflected twice, I believe, before James Hood hauled it in.
I know it's great concentration to catch a tipped ball like that, and you're going to get a look at it. Tom throws it in there, and you know that linebacker is between him and the receiver, gets his hands on it, and look who comes up with it.
Well, there's 4 green shirts there, and the guy with the white shirt is the one that the ball bounced in his hands.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 41. Clemens swinging it out of the backfield to Pat Cantner, and he's taken out of bounds by Danny Bass after a pickup of about 3 yards. Well, James Hood got his chance to play after the injury last week to Jeff Boyd. Hood was with Winnipeg most of last year through training camp. He was a coveted receiver by a number of teams in the CFL at cutdown time, but the Bombers placed him on their reserve list.
Comes from a long line of great receivers from Arizona State. All the speed in the world.
2nd and 7. Throwing deep. Nobody there. James Murphy was closest to the ball.
Had a misconnection between Murphy and Clement. Murphy went down the field and started to the inside, right on a square end, coming right back into the middle. Tom thought he was going deep and threw it deep, and then he just can't get to it.
While Bob Cameron lines up, we should point out that there's a new publication on the market, Terry Jones, Canadian Football 85. Terry Jones, a columnist with the Edmonton Sun. He has a book out, a pocket book, everything you wanted to know about the 1985 CFL season and more. One of the interesting features of this 5th annual publication, more than 100 pages on Canadian college football. And, of course, collegiate stars are the backbone of the Canadian Football League. And many of those listed in this year's Canadian Football 85 will be playing in the CFL in the future. So with that 3rd down punt, the Edmonton Eskimos will be scrimmaging 1st and 10 from their own 16 when we return.
Coming up on Sports Weekend.
Yes, 2 great horse races on CBC Sports Weekend Saturday. Ernie Apaganis and Michael McGee will be at Woodbine Racetrack. Brian Williams in Sports Weekend control, beginning at 3 Eastern Daylight Time. 1st and 10 Edmonton. The ball is at the 16-yard line after that 3rd down punt by Bob Cameron. Donegan getting to the outside, getting away from Ty Jones, and picking up the 1st down, diving out to about the 29.
Well, when he decided to run, he turned it upfield. He saw the 2 Bombers coming, and what was nice for Donegan is he put the head down and went to the ground. He didn't take any unnecessary hits, which will make Jackie Parker happy.
Well, Donegan's style somewhat reminiscent of the great Jackie Parker in his heyday with the Eskimos. If he saw that opening to the outside, he would take off on you.
And take off a lot of times.
53 yards tonight for Donegan. He may run it again, but no, he spots Brian Kelly for a 1st down at the 46-yard line. He has that option when he gets to the outside.
One thing that Donegan does, Ron, not to interrupt you here, but he gets a lot of depth on his rollout, and those defensive linemen have a hard time, even if they got a contained position, to get to him before he lets that ball go.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Kelly on his move downfield. He turned the defender, and when he turned him, then he broke to the sidelines, and you can tell Kelly and Donegan worked a lot together because that only comes with work. 2 guys.
And off to Larry Cowan, and Cowan gets ahead of steam into Winnipeg territory at the 49. Joe Jackson pulled the feet out from under Larry Cowan, but not before he had a 1st down.
The penetration comes from the inside, and he just runs and comes at the outside right here and outruns the penetration and gets to the open field. There's plenty of room in there to make a tackle if he's going to hit off tackle, but he hit to the off tackle position and slid to the outside.
Quick release to Marco Sincar. He is thrown out of bounds at the 40-yard line. That will be close to another first down. Wiley Turner made the stop. 9:57 is the time left in this third quarter. Winnipeg leads by a score of 11-10.
What Dunnigan's doing, Ron, that usually a sophomore quarterback doesn't do that well, is he reads that quick release, and if there's an uncovered pass receiver coming off that line of scrimmage, he gets the ball to him in a hurry, and that takes some time before you can learn that.
On second down, Dunnigan keeps, and he finds that hole up the middle to the 31-yard line.
You know what made that play so nice is the last time in short yardage, Milton Jones came around there and started up into the line, and then they lead Lumsden, and all of a sudden he just fakes it and steps the other way, and well, I'll tell you what, he come close to breaking.
I think Dunnigan was going for that 2 yards and found himself almost going for a touchdown and stumbled.
Surprised him.
A little surprise element there.
He's run for 62 yards tonight. First and 10, the ball at the 31. Over the middle, it's complete. Milton Jones fights his way to the 21. Frank Robinson finally brought him down, but that should be another Edmonton first down.
Good job by the offensive line here. They've got the linebackers coming, but they pick it up right here, and Milton Jones just comes right out of the backfield and makes the catch.
Back to the live action to the sidelines, incomplete. Intended for Marco Simcar. He was in the open, but could not hang on.
Well, he was wide open. He turned the defensive back, Wiley Turner. He just turned him around, and the ball's just a little bit on the ground.
Willard Reeves, the leading rusher in the CFL, finished for the balance of this ball game. And the way Matthew Dunnigan is running, he could move up into second place. It's interesting that you have a couple of quarterbacks among the top 5 in CFL rushers. Dunnigan trying to run it again as he couldn't find that receiver uncovered, but he's brought down at the 20-yard line by Joe Jackson. He's played a strong game tonight for Winnipeg at that linebacking spot.
Watch the persistence here of Joe Jackson. He never lets up. Dunnigan goes back and he just fights his way in there and stays after him. That's persistence and gets to him finally. Fights off of a couple blocks, keeps on his feet, stays after him, and gets him while Dunnigan tries to turn up inside.
Dixon with a field goal that would give Edmonton the lead for the first time in the game, but it is wide. And we have a tie score. Winnipeg 11, Edmonton 11, and we have 7:45 remaining in the third quarter. And we'll be back with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers scrimmaging first and 10 from the 35 after this message.
Returns to CBC next Sunday. The Calgary Stampeders meet the Rough Riders in Ottawa, live Sunday afternoon on CBC.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defensive unit bent, but they did not break, and the Edmonton Eskimos come up with a single point on that missed field goal attempt to tie the score at 11. And now they take over from the 35-yard line. Tom Clements still directing the attack. Clements throwing it up there for Hood. He's got it into Edmonton territory at the 49-yard line.
Well, that's one of those patterns where they want to take the corner Cliff Toney and sit him in the flat, and when you get behind him, there's a big hole, and Tom Clements dropped it right in the hole.
Pretty good job by Hood, too. He hesitated when he got in that hole and let Tommy get it to him. He didn't get too close to that defensive back. He waited on the pass.
First and 10, Winnipeg from the 49 of Edmonton. Score is tied at 11. Hand off to Sean Keogh, and he fights his way to the 45-yard line. John Daly was the first to make contact with the Winnipeg running back. That will be a pickup of 4. Well, Joe Holloman obviously is finished for the balance of this ball game as he, with the aid of crutches, makes his way back to the Edmonton bench. And as the spectators at Commonwealth Stadium realize that he is now returning, they give the veteran cornerback a fine round of applause.
Boy, he's paid his dues. He's been with a lot of Grey Cup champions.
Pass complete for a first down, but a penalty flag on the play as Joe Poplawski is wrestled out of bounds by Jeff Treplin. That penalty flag in the Winnipeg backfield, that usually means holding.
Now you notice where Tommy Clements is going to work. A lot of his efforts are going over there toward that right corner that no longer is occupied by Mr. Holloman.
Is that a crackback block that they indicated against Winnipeg in that play?
Well, let's see what the signal is. I haven't.
Chop block, Winnipeg 59, second down repeated.
Well, crackback means if the defender is engaged by one of the offensive linemen, you cannot come from the outside and chop him.
Well, there's 59 right there. And I've always felt that anywhere from tackle to tackle that you could chop block somebody.
Lyle Bauer was guilty of that chop block. The pass complete to Poplawski. Poplawski is taken out of bounds at the 51. Jeff Treplin again coming over to take Poplawski out of bounds.
Well, Don, one of the things we've noticed, and you know, they always talk about the problems that the Bombers are having. But tonight, interception, fumble, penalty have killed drives. And that'll drive Cal Murphy crazy.
Now, we certainly can't fault Tom Clements either. He's having a pretty good night, finding his receivers, getting the ball to them. But as you say, you just can't be initiating a drive and have one of those penalties stop it.
Cameron kicking from his own 45. They rush 11 again, and they came very close to getting that one. As a matter of fact, it may have been hit right at the line of scrimmage. The ball picked up by Chris Woods. He steps out of bounds at the 19. So that's where Edmonton will scrimmage 1st and 10 with 5:18 remaining in the third quarter. Well, another big win for the Montreal Expos tonight. 1-0 over the Cincinnati Reds as they pursue St. Louis in the National League Eastern Division. And it was a great night for both Canadian teams, both winners by shutouts. The Blue Jays 7-0 over the California Angels as they continue to lead the American League East.
They want to be in first place by that magic date in August.
That's right, but the smart money says that if Toronto was going to crack, they would have cracked by now. They're hanging in there, and Detroit and the Yankees are doing the cracking.
First down with Larry Cowan carrying for a gain of 3. Stan Mikolas from his nose guard spot was there to halt the advancement of Larry Cowan. Mikolas getting an opportunity to play regularly this year with the retirement of veteran nose guard Doug McIver. Dunnigan calling signals, 2nd and 7 with 4:38 remaining.
Here's where he's so dangerous. If he gets to the outside, if nothing is there, he'll run himself.
Throwing the pass complete, and a big hit by Jackson on Marco Sinkar, but he has the first down.
I'll tell you, Marco Sinkar has taken a couple real hits. One was that collision that he had with Holloman and came back in there to play, and that time he was really collision and held onto that football.
You'll see Marco Sinkar coming across right at the top of your screen. Watch the hit. He goes up to catch it, bang.
Oh, I'll tell you, that'll break you from sunken eggs.
1st and 10, Edmonton. Dunnigan drills it in there to Brian Kelly. First down at the 53. He put something on that one.
You were exactly right when you said he drilled it. I mean, he really threw that football. And that, boy, that's great for his confidence because he'll step back and throw it. And with his running ability, he'll drive defenses crazy.
Hey, the guy that's driving you crazy is that number 16, Dunnigan, because if he's not throwing the ball, he's running with it. And Winnipeg has got to be aware of that.
A gain of 22. Brian Kelly with his 2nd catch of the ball game. What a year he experienced in '84. Draw play with Milton Jones. Jones has the feet cut out from under him by Ken Haley, who came up from his halfback spot.
What you have to be impressed with the Edmonton club is they have thrown the ball when they've had to, but they've put together an awful good running attack tonight. And when you can control the ball by running, you keep it away from Winnipeg's high-powered offense.
That's right, Ron. It's a good variation of plays when you come in with that draw occasionally after throwing the ball and running with it, too.
She doesn't really care, does she?
Fans of all ages at Commonwealth Stadium tonight taking in the action. Dunnigan throwing short, intended for Chris Woods. He was fortunate to get that ball away as Tyrone Jones was right on top of him.
There's no substitute for speed. Tyrone Jones come across that line of scrimmage. Dunnigan had the angle to the outside on him, and Tyrone flattened out right down the line of scrimmage, got his hands up. There was no way that Dunnigan could effectively get the ball downfield.
Well, Dunnigan loves that naked bootleg. He doesn't bring any blockers with him. He comes out there by himself, and you either fool him or you don't. And that time he didn't fool Tyrone Jones.
Glenn Steele is the lone man back as the Blue Bombers will be rushing 11 on this third down punt by Tom Dixon. Steele fields it at the 10-yard line. And he's drawn down at the 19 by Rod Conniff with 2:23 remaining in quarter 3. Well, we saw Joe Holloman earlier limping out, and that is bad news for Winnipeg fans as Willard Reeves is on crutches, and so is John Sturdivant. Reeves with an injured ankle, Sturdivant with that knee injury. And Joe Holloman with a knee injury. So several of the stars of this CFL encounter are on the sidelines. Dixon attempting to draw a penalty flag on that third down punt. The pass complete to James Murphy for a first down as he was taken out of bounds by Jeff Treplin. The Bombers were going after Dixon on that third down punt, and he endeavored to catch the attention of the official, claiming that contact was made.
Well, all kickers are going to do it. I haven't met one yet that doesn't, and the referee was in a great spot, and the Winnipeg guy was stopped dead. It was actually the kicker that hit him.
First down from the 31-yard line. Clemens for Murphy. He's got it for another first down. He was driven back inside the 40, but the pass was completed out to the 43-yard line.
Well, that was a well-thrown ball, and Murphy really concentrated on it, too, because there was two green jerseys, one on either side of him when he caught that ball, made a good catch on it. You know, the thing that amazes me on this field, and I don't think any of us have ever seen a better playing surface than this field here at Edmonton, and yet we've had three pretty key injuries tonight on this field, and everybody is always talking about the injuries that you get on these artificial turfs. Well, here's an example of the best field in the world with grass, and there's been three key injuries.
They're not used to it.
That could be it.
Sideline pattern to James Hood, breaks the tackle, and he is down, but not before he got to the 41 of Edmonton.
Well, when they say this game is a game of inches, that just got to Hood in time. That could have been intercepted.
Nothing complicated, just down and out, and naturally they're going after that side where Joe Holloman was playing. You know, you got it. Jeff Treplin is only in his second yard. Watch how fast he gets rid of it. And as you say, Leo, it's a matter of inches. He made the catch, almost broke it.
Now Hood is down on one knee, and he looks like he's hurt.
There it is. Just nothing fancy. Just turn it out. I'll throw it to you. You run.
You can tell that he's got some speed, too.
Right?
Yeah. Looks like he hurt his leg right there, and he's still down on the sidelines.
Well, he was in a rather awkward position when he took that final blow. But he has made three very good catches for the Blue Bombers tonight. And just before someone phones to correct your comment, Leo, and I'm going to correct you about these two teams not being used to natural grass, they're the only two teams that play on natural grass surfaces all year at home.
Yeah, but they play all their other games on unnatural turf, and what Ronnie was referring to, it was Ronnie that said so, but what Ronnie was referring to is they're not used to being on grass.
Have I started something here? But we should point out that this grass, and it appears as though James Hood took that shot in the face and has a problem with his nose.
He can do some high stepping as he comes down the sidelines. We'll see
gotta be this
as
guy.
he falls if somebody gets a shoulder pad into his face. Could have been, but it didn't look like it. But
it appears as though he may have caught an elbow. But it is a Winnipeg first down at the 42-yard line, and Faby comes into the ball game. Randy Faby with 26 seconds remaining in this third quarter. Winnipeg first and 10. The ball is at the 42. Intended for James Murphy, incomplete. 19 seconds now, the time remaining.
Just as well he didn't catch that football. Whoever was supposed to block forgot to hit him, and I'll tell you, if he'd have caught it, he was really lined up.
It was bait.
Well, you see some blood on the front of his jersey as he took that shot and he went down, but I'm sure he'll be returning. Second and 10. Poplawski grabs it, first down to the 21.
Boy, those are the catches you have to make, and boy, Poplawski's done it for many years.
And that's the final play of the third quarter, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be in scoring position when we return.
The clean, smooth taste of Miller High Life. That's Miller time.
Watch the good job that the Winnipeg offensive line does right here. When Woods tries this stunt up into the inside right there, they pick it up and give Tommy Clements that time that he needs. Excellent job of picking up the stunt.
Hood is back into the ball game for Winnipeg for the first play of the fourth quarter, and he's the receiver down to the 6-yard line. And he's hurt again, but this time it's a leg.
And again, look where he's going. Tommy Clements knows that he's got a corner that's a normal safety playing on that right side there. And he went down with Hood on the outside, and he just broke to the post. It was a man-for-man situation. He just beat Tony to the inside.
What a job Hood did of recovering after bobbling that ball, and as he was falling, making the catch.
Pretty good-looking athlete.
So it will be a Winnipeg first and goal situation from the 8-yard line. Statistically, it's been the rushing game of Edmonton against the passing game of Winnipeg, with not much between the two, as there is not on the scoreboard, with the game deadlocked at 11.
We talked before the game with Coach Murphy, and one of the plays that he likes in this area is a play pass. And with Reeves out of there, they may come with a play pass down here and throw to one of those backs coming out of the backfield.
Glenn Steele comes into the ball game as Hood goes to the bench. First and goal, Winnipeg. The second play of the final quarter. The ball is at the 8-yard line. Clements under pressure. He is hit and down. Jeff Treflin.
I think that surprised him. I don't really think that they would have safety blitzed him down there, but boy, did he come.
They came with everybody from the outside here, and Jeff Treflin came in and made the play. He just run out of blockers down there, and Treflin was the odd man out. He just came from the outside, wasn't touched, used his speed, and got to Tommy without Tommy seeing him.
The McMaster University product with a big play as Clements now tries to get to the outside. Penalty flag. John Bonk will probably be called for holding. It was intended for Kackner, incomplete.
Watch John Bonk pull out here and make a tackle on a defensive lineman coming across there, and you just can't do that. He tried to reach out and get a hold of the guy. He felt the guy penetrating there and just tackled him. That's a no-no.
Well, it was John Mandarich who was working against John Bonk. So it will be a third down situation, and Trevor Kennard will attempt a field goal and try and break this tie from 24 yards out. It's good. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead by 3 with 13:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. We'll return to Commonwealth Stadium after this. Well, the British Columbia Lions, one of 2 undefeated teams going into weekend play. Of course, they take on the other undefeated team, the Montreal Concord. Tomorrow night, Toronto is in Hamilton. The Argos losing 2 games in dying moments to Edmonton and Winnipeg, or they too might be undefeated. So that certainly sets the stage for quite a battle next Thursday night on CBC television. Toronto and British Columbia from CNE Stadium. I'm looking forward to that game.
Anytime those 2 teams meet, it's awful good football, and I'll tell you, Montreal and BC, that's going to be a good one, too.
From the 35, Dunnigan. Pass was incomplete, but he was being blitzed by Scott Flagle from his safety position.
Looks like these teams are trying to just everything goes. You know, they pull out all the stops. I mean, Edmonton blitzed a guy down on the goal line, Treplin, and here comes 14, Scott Flagel again, and he's able to get to him and force him to throw it low.
In a situation like that, you better get there because they expended about 8 guys on that rush, and there weren't enough people downfield to cover anybody. But when you get there, you don't have to have them downfield.
Second and 10 from the 35. Donegan with time. Completes the pass for a first down to Rick House. And one thing House has always done very well is run with the football after catching it.
Well, that was nice. Everybody, I think, thought he was going to run right out of bounds with it. He planted and stopped and spun and turned it into a bigger play.
House was with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers before playing out his option during the 1984 season. And just before training camp, he signed with the Edmonton Eskimos. His first catch of this ball game. Milson Jones, another ex-Blue Bomber, breaking a tackle. Running inside the 40-yard line, stopped there by Roy Bennett.
That was just an extremely good job of staying on his feet because when he hit up in there on the initial draw, there was plenty of people in there to make the tackle. But he made contact, didn't give ground at all, and then accelerated again and made that extra yardage. And he's down on one knee now, and it looks like he's hurt a little bit.
Well, he missed the last game against Ottawa because of a leg injury. It appears as though he has a similar problem as Chris Skinner will take his spot. I haven't seen Milson Jones since he came into the CFL run as well as he is this year.
Well, that's for sure. I know that talking to the Edmonton coaches out in BC when we did that game, they really believe that since he's moved to Winnipeg, he got out of Winnipeg, you know, he moved to Edmonton, and being from Winnipeg adds a little bit more pressure on you, and sometimes you don't perform well when you come back after being away. He's probably happy to be settled in Edmonton. They say he's in the business now, he's settled down, and, you know, that helps.
Well, he was an outstanding running back at North Dakota. He compiled some very impressive statistics down there.
Well, let's see if we can see where he gets hit.
Neil Lumsden is in there in Milson Jones' place, and he carries the ball on that short yardage play for a first down.
Tom, he wants that ball back.
Yeah, he sure does. And he's been moving the ball up and down the field, but like an insurance man, he hasn't been able to close that contract and get in the end zone. Both teams have been doing that. We referred before that field position and field goals may win this game.
Milson Jones is back in there for Edmonton. The draw play with Larry Cowan, he was wrapped up by 3 Winnipeg defenders. Tony Norman was there, Tyrone Jones was there, and so was Stan Mikowas. Stan Mikowas has had a good game at his nose guard position.
Yeah, I started talking to him. I didn't recognize him when he was walking over there without his uniform, without his number on. He's a big guy.
Indeed he is. He's another product of the University of North Dakota, 6'4", 245 pounds. Second down for the Eskimos. Complete to Rick House. Will he have enough for the first down? They mark it at the 28. I think he's about a yard away. Or maybe 2.
Well, here comes Lumsden or Dunnigan. We'll see if they fake it. See if Dunnigan carries, Bill.
Well, they're putting their artillery in there for the short yardage situation. Mandridge goes in there, number 75.
Well, Winnipeg was coming after him. Just a simple down and out pattern. House wasn't able to go the full 10 yards because of the blitz. He turned outside and made the catch. Got him 9. Big play for both clubs.
I got to believe they're going to give the ball to Lumsden. Oh, it's quarterback sneak and a good one.
And Dunnigan will get the first down to the 25-yard line of Winnipeg with 9:31 remaining. Winnipeg leading 14-11. The Blue Bombers defensively on that third down play had inserted Vernon Paul and Chris Walby into the lineup in place of Jackson and Frank Robinson. Dunnigan going over the right side for the first down. and 10 now from just outside the 25-yard line. Dunnigan trying to get outside of Tony Norman. Passes complete to Chris Wood. No, he could not hang on as he was trying to stay in bounds. He was juggling that ball on the sidelines and could not control it.
Dunnigan went out again on one of those naked quarterback bootlegs. It looked like he was going to threaten that line of scrimmage with his run and just looked downfield. Found Woods wide open on the sidelines right there. And Woods knew that he was wide open, tried to hold on to the ball, but let it go. Nobody feels worse than he does. Jackie Parker may feel just a little worse as he stands over there on the sideline.
Well, Chris Woods was obviously concentrating on staying in bounds and trying to juggle that pass at the same time. Into the end zone for Rick House. Touchdown!
That was all Rick House.
He'll feel good about that against his old teammates. Dunnigan just goes out, and everybody rushes. They send their linebackers, they send their inside people, put a lot of pressure on him, just hangs up the air, Ron.
Dunnigan got the pressure, and he really just threw it as far as he could as he was going down, and you saw House adjust to it in the air, and that's a good receiver that can do that.
The point after by Tom Dixon, and the Edmonton Eskimos have the lead for the first time tonight as they move in front 18-14. We'll be back with the Edmonton kickoff after this.
That's the final play. Your team works hard and that's your game. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Hey, yeah! Come on, it's Miller time.
The clean, smooth taste of Miller High Life. That's Miller time.
And along the west shore of Lake Erie. A band of strong thunderstorms was located from near Port Huron, southwest to Detroit, and into Fort Wayne, Indiana. These thunderstorms were moving southeast around 15 knots, while the individual storms were moving to the northeast around 30 knots. Very heavy rain, dangerous lightning, and strong gusty winds can be expected from these storms.
Yeah, you see Rick House, he's facing one way, and he turns and finds the ball in the air. And I'll tell you what, when a receiver will go to the ball like that, a quarterback will gamble with him.
Well, he caught that in his hands, and then he cradled it in his knees, but it was just as clean as could be, and there's no other way that they could construe it but as a touchdown.
It almost slipped away from him, but he managed to hang on. Now this is Glenn Steele on the kickoff return. Wrapped up at the 22-yard line by Frank Maltebeck. 8:24 is the time remaining, and other games this week in the Canadian Football League. Tomorrow night, Toronto is at Ivor-Wynne Stadium to face the Ticats. On Saturday, the two undefeated teams meet, Montreal at British Columbia. And Sunday, we'll have the game for you from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, the Rough Riders and the Calgary Stampeders. Clements, the screen to James Murphy. He's got a first down to the 35-yard line.
Boy, they love that play.
I'm not so sure that Tom Clements loves it. He appears to be limping over to that house. Cal Murphy looking on as trainer Ross Hodgkinson comes out, and Clements is hurt. He appeared to take a hit at about the same time as he released the ball, or did he just pull a muscle?
Well, it almost looks like a hip pointer without contact, but it's right in the hip area, and as you said, Don, he could have pulled a muscle or a tendon or something in that area. But boy, that could be a real imposition, because the way he looks, it's going to be hard for him to throw.
Well, to the bullpen. And John Hufnagel, can he perform the same heroics he did on Saturday night in a come-from-behind win over Toronto?
Well, he's over there saying, oh, well, here we go again.
I'll tell you, there's two differences in personalities when Hufnagel is in the ball game. One thing that Edmonton can do that they can't do with Clemens is they can come with a little less disciplined rush because Hufnagel is not nearly as nifty and as fast on quick of foot as Tommy Clemens is. And so they'll just pin their ears back and go after Hufnagel, where they've got to be a little bit more cautious against Tommy Clemens because he can step up inside and get some yardage with his running.
Ron, you coached John Hufnagel when you were at Saskatchewan.
Yeah, John is an ideal. He's a great person to be around. He's really a nice guy. And the thing that impresses me about his role with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is he has accepted that role. Him and Clemens are good friends, and he knows what's expected of him. And right now, he knows that he needs to get something going. And if Tom comes back, great. If not, he'll get it done.
41,173 watching the action at Commonwealth Stadium, and we hope you're enjoying the action as you look in across the CBC network tonight. Complete to James Hood. Hood fights his way out to the 49-yard line. John Daly brought him down. Clements moving at that Winnipeg bench, so it may have just been a temporary muscle spasm or perhaps some other problem, but at least he is moving over at that bench and doesn't appear to be in a great deal of pain.
Well, I'm impressed with this Hood kid. He's playing an extremely good football game, and he's dangerous when he catches that ball.
He's got it again.
Ooh, he tried to make a move on Tony and slipped.
Trying to maintain his balance.
But they found that spot, Ron, that they've got the inexperienced guy on that corner, and they're going to work on it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's one-on-one out here. He just slips it. If he gets by Tony, he's going to go a long way because Delorier, the safety man, was to the wide side of the field and the halfback was up. There's nobody back there to help Tony.
6:33, the time remaining in the game. John Hufnagel replacing the injured Tom Clements. Hufnagel over the middle for a big first down as he hits Poplawski to the 35-yard line.
Boy, that took a little bit of courage on that play right there because there wasn't a real play-action fake on it. He just started out to his right, and Poplawski went down from the left slot, and he just threw right back to the left. Watch him on a reverse pivot or front out right here, and then hitting Poplawski right down the seam on the left.
It had to be right on the money. Nice throw. Well, Poplawski will catch a tough one.
First and 10 from the 36-yard line. Complete for Jerome Erdman, and he fights his way inside the 30 with 5:47 remaining in the game. Jeff Treflin took him out of bounds. A gain of 7 on that pass to Jerome Erdman. 18-14. The Edmonton Eskimos lead. Since coming into the ball game, Hufnagel is 4 for 4 in throwing that football.
One of these times he's going to try to hit that Hood kid deep.
The pitch to Sean Keogh. Keogh picked up about a yard. Stopped by Stuart Hill. Now a coaching decision for Cal Murphy. With 5:10 remaining, I believe he is going to send in his field goal unit.
3 yards short, no doubt about it. Kick the field goal. If you get the ball back, you always have a chance to kick another field goal and win it.
Or even punt to tie it. Well, Cal Murphy hasn't tried anything yet this year. I don't think he's going to try something here. Do you, Ron?
No, he needs these 3 points.
From 37 yards, there's a handoff to Trevor Kenner. He's got the first down.
I give up, man. That's a great call. Great call. And I'll tell you what, that took a lot of guts for Cal Murphy to call that at this stage of the game. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I mean, when you got a field goal there, and they make that little handoff to Trevor, get up in there, Trevor. Oh, that's great. Great call.
Trevor Kenner, the smallest man in the Canadian Football League, gets a big first down for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Good average, man. Good average. He could be the offensive game star. That was something. I'll tell you one thing. I couldn't believe it.
Well, Cal has got his 2 quarterbacks there, and Tommy's got the helmet off, and looks like John Hufnagel is staying in there.
John Mandarich, the nose guard, was hurt on that play. Well, I'll tell you, there will be some spectators in the stands who would have been delighted with that call because Trevor Kennard's family and his brother Forrest live here in Edmonton, and of course they're out for every football game that the Blue Bombers play here.
His hand right off with the handoff to Kennard, and watch him skate through there. He knew where that first down was. He was going to get it.
So it's a first down Winnipeg. The ball is at the Edmonton 25-yard line. Hufnagel stays in there. Hufnagel into the end zone, intended for Boyd. He slipped, or I should say Hood, who has replaced Boyd, and he slipped in the goal area.
I'll tell you what Hufnagel did really well. He went back in there, and he's going to try to throw a deep pattern. He really looks to his left. Look, he's trying to get Delorier to come this way. Then he goes back to his right. I don't know if it would have been caught, but it's close. He slipped and fell. So, 2nd and 10. Big down for both clubs. Edmonton definitely needs to get to him.
2nd and 10 from the 25. Hufnagel underthrowing Jerome Erdman.
See who was coming. Jeff Chuplin on that blitz. Halfback blitz.
Well, that's putting all your eggs in one basket down there because you got to get there. There's going to be somebody open downfield, and he got there.
3:55 remaining in the game. He wouldn't try this twice in a row, would he?
I'm not saying a word. Cal Murphy will mess you up every time.
I'll take the monkey off your back this time, Ron. Say he's going to definitely kick it.
Kennard's field goal try from 33 yards out. It's good. And the Blue Bombers have closed within a single point. There's 3:37 remaining in the ball game here at Commonwealth Stadium.
Looks like another exciting finish.
Anna reported a thunder shower in 74. Once again, that 11 p.m. weather here at Metropolitan Airport. Thunder shower, 74 degrees. The following is a special marine warning issued by the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service has issued a special marine warning effective until 1:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time Friday morning for boaters on the St. Clair River, Lake St. Clair, the Detroit River, and along the west shore of Lake Erie.
CFL 85 returns to CBC next Sunday. The Calgary Stampeders meet the Rough Riders in Ottawa, live Sunday afternoon on CBC.
And I'm looking forward to seeing those two young speedsters for the Ottawa Rough Riders perform again on Sunday afternoon. Derek Zeno and Mike Catterbone in that game against the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, we haven't seen speed like that since the days of Whit Tucker and Margene Atkins.
1st and 10 from the 35, and big play by Tony Norman. And I think that may redeem Tony Norman in the eyes of Coach Cal Murphy.
If there was ever a time for a big play, that had to be it as far as the Bombers are concerned. 1st and 10, now they're looking at long yardage. And boy, I'll tell you what, Tony Norman made the play, and as you say, Cal Murphy might be a little bit happier with him. Well, you see him coming there. I mean, he just ran right through it. He had a little stun on where one guy looped to the outside, and he took the opening, and no one blocked him.
Well, the tackle turned out on the man coming to the outside. Norman came through clean.
Trying to get outside, Gunnigan having problems, and he's buried by Tony Norman again. So back-to-back plays by Tony Norman, the defensive end who was benched last week against Toronto. And with 2:42 remaining in the ball game, the Eskimos will be forced to kick it away. We'll be back with that 3rd down punt right after this message.
From the northwest, 5 to 15 miles an hour. Mostly clear Friday night with a low in the middle 50s, and sunny skies on Saturday with a high in the lower 80s. The extended forecast for southeast lower Michigan.
Be with us after the game as Don Whitman, Ron Lancaster, and Leo Cahill select the Carling O'Keefe Game Stars.
Well, Saturday night at Winnipeg Stadium, we had a dramatic finish involving the Blue Bombers and Toronto Argonauts. With 2:42 remaining here at Commonwealth Stadium, we could have more of the same tonight in this contest between the Eskimos and the Blue Bombers.
You know, the thing right here that Cal has to be afraid of is when he comes in and tries to rush this kicker, that they don't make contact with the kicker and give up this opportunity to get the ball back. You may see a return on here rather than a attempt to block the kick.
I'd put a return on. You're going to get good
exactly
field
what he's
position.
got.
Low kick.
The ball bounces to Glenn Steele, but Steele is going to lose a few yards before turning it upfield, and he recovers to the 54. Stopped there by Laurent Delorier. 2:19 is the time remaining. And our technical coverage tonight provided by our CBC crews from Edmonton, Calgary, and Winnipeg. And we'd like to say goodbye tonight to our technical producer, John Davies, who will be leaving our CBC crew after tonight's ball game. He'll be working on the Olympics in Calgary in 1988. That screen to James Murphy. It was almost picked off. Great defensive work by James Bell. He came in between the blocker and Murphy and almost picked that off.
Well, you can't play it any better. I mean, he beat him across the line of scrimmage, and that just doesn't happen too often. Now he's got him in that 2nd and long. You think they'll come with him with a blitz? There's the throw. But watch number 17, Bell. He's there waiting on him.
Second and long, and Hufnagel's in trouble. There's a penalty flag as well. John Mandarich, the nose guard, dropped the quarterback, John Hufnagel. There was also a penalty flag, a holding call against Winnipeg that will be waived by Edmonton.
Well, for moving in from a defensive end spot in over that nose, I'd say Mandarich has found the spot that he likes.
He looks like he's been there before.
Holding. Winnipeg 62 is declined. 3rd down.
The holding call against Richard Nemeth, who plays that left tackle spot. 1:50 is the time left. Winnipeg forced into a kicking situation. The Bombers at their own 30-yard line for this boot by Bob Cameron. Good kick. Chris Woods takes it back at the 16. And Woods is stopped right there at the 20-yard line by Ken Haley. A 51-yard kick by Bob Cameron. 1:35 the time left. Well, the Bomber defensive unit realized their task. They must stop the Edmonton Eskimos here to get the ball back if they retain any realistic hopes of winning this ball game.
And that man on the sidelines, that's Jackie Parker there, but the picture before was on Cal Murphy, and he's had a couple cliffhangers in these last couple games.
I'll tell you then, but they're going to run. They're not going to take that big loss like they did last time.
Larry Cowan is going to be chased back, and he's going to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage. David Shaw came up and put the hit on Cowan, but he's the injured Winnipeg player.
David Shaw doesn't make too many tackles in a season. You know that? But he made a big one there. That was a good tackle coming up in that corner position. I was a little surprised Cowan tried to go outside because I don't think Jackie Parker would want Dunnigan taking a 10-yard loss on 1st down.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have certainly had more than their share of hurts tonight. Tom Clements, Willard Reed's out of the ball game, John Sturdivant out of the ball game, and now David Shaw hurt. He got down low on Larry Cowan. We saw David Shaw in an injury situation 2 years ago against the BC Lions, I believe it was, when they had to bring the ambulance onto the field to take him off to hospital. He suffered a neck injury, but fortunately he was able to return. And fortunately for David Shaw on this occasion, he is able to walk off the field.
That's why he doesn't do too much tackling, Ron.
I would say the way he was kind of walking going off, he probably caught one of those knees to the side of the head and just kind of.
Well, here's a second and 9 here now with a young quarterback, and he's going back to throw the football.
Jerome Erdman in there playing that spot, and there's Chris Woods. He'll go.
Goodbye. Caught the ball and just outran the coverage. But you want to talk about a smart play by a young quarterback and a gunny play too. 2nd and 9 with all the marks. marbles on the deck down there, and he had to get that first down, and he went to the vulnerable position on that defense with Shaw hurt. Completed the pass. It was good for a touchdown.
Well, Jerome Erdman had moved into that safety position. They had to move Wiley Turner to the corner, Scott Flagel inside, and that's the area that Matt Dunnigan worked on. The point after by Tom Dixon, and the Edmonton Eskimos now lead the ball game by 8.
Boy, you have to be impressed. You have to be impressed. Watch Dunnigan. Key situation. You don't want an interception right out. Watch him drill it. Now it's up the Woods. You miss this tackle, right there you know he's going to go. What great speed.
Wiley Turner is playing the corner there, Ron, and he's coming from the inside out. And he's not used to that position, and he gave Woods that outside position. When Woods got his foot down that sidelines, it's all over.
Boy, he's got some sort of speed, that guy.
Well, you talk about the flat-out speed of Chris Woods, but our viewers may recall last Thursday night in Ottawa when it appeared Woods was gone for a touchdown on a kickoff return. A blur came out of nowhere by the name of Derek Zeno to track him down.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I don't know what blazing fast is anymore. You know, I mean, what is it?
That Derek Zeno can run a hole in the wind.
James Murphy on the sidelines, unable to go anywhere as he is stopped at the 26-yard line with 1:02 remaining in the game. Larry Ruck was there to make the tackle, but the hero of the moment for the Edmonton Eskimos is Chris Woods.
Got to be impressed with the Edmonton club. After we saw him just a week ago, just wasn't able to control Ottawa. The offense is what has impressed me tonight. Boy, they just got that running game going, and they just kept running that football.
Hofnagel continuing to call those signals. This is going to be picked off. No, Jeff Treplin, I thought, was going to grab that deflection. That pass was high over the middle.
Well, Cal Murphy, if he's got a trick play, this would be it. Now, he has threatened, and I think he did in the last ball game. He came in with that unorthodox overshift formation, trying to get an eligible receiver from a guard or tackle position down the field. This may be it. He's coming with a conventional formation.
Deep for Poplawski. He can't make the catch, and he is hit, and he may be hurt. Oh, yes, he went down. He may have taken a helmet right into that ribcage area from Cliff Tony. He was stretched out, reaching for that football when he was hit on the sidelines, and he reacted instinctively. He was in pain as soon as he hit the ground.
Well, Joe's had those bad back spasms before, and watch the hit he's going to take. Boy,
like almost he fell on his elbow when he went down here.
Caught a pretty good head right in the ribs, too. See what they're looking at. Boy. One more look at it. Nice hit by Tony, and down he goes.
Well, Poplawski missed much of the preseason because of back problems. We spoke to him during the game with the Montreal Concord, the season opener, and he indicated that he does have the problems, but once he starts the game, it really doesn't seem to bother him. He forgets about them. And apparently he is going to be okay. Cal Murphy indicating to Joe to come on over to the bench. There was a delay over there, and I think Cal is just waiting for as much time as possible for this final play for his troops on the field to get organized, as the play cannot commence until Poplawski gets back to that Winnipeg bench.
Well, it's good to see him jogging and running across there. You know, he's a good football player. You don't want to lose him, too.
Third down, Winnipeg. Pass is complete to James Murphy. First down up to the 45-yard line. The Blue Bombers are still alive with 45 seconds left.
Here comes Poplawski back into the ball game.
That's good. Probably get open and make a great catch or something after taking that kind of hit.
Randy Faby is out. Poplawski is back in. Sideline pattern. James Murphy unable to hang on as he is bumped out of bounds by Cliff Tony. 39 seconds remaining.
That Tony will line you up and hit you on. Boy, he went after Murphy that time pretty good.
And boy, they sure went to work on him in the second half, though. As soon as he shifted out from that safety, that cornerback position.
He's got his hands on his knees down there catching a little air. What a night for football, huh? Great. Have this kind of weather all the games all season would be just super.
Hopnagel to James Murphy, wide open in the middle, into the 49-yard line with 31 seconds remaining.
Well, 31 seconds, you got time for a couple more. 3-4 more plays.
Winnipeg going without a huddle.
That was a good call. Come into the middle. Come into it again. Here he goes.
Hopnagel to James Murphy. Murphy still on his feet. Finally down at the 35-yard line. 19 seconds remaining. Liftoni made the tackle.
The way they're playing defense and dropping way back with their deep backs, those passes in the middle are wide open. He's going to stay at it until he gets down the field.
Playing man-to-man underneath and 2 people deep. Trying not to get beat deep. Let's see if they blitz him one time. Nope, same defense. Get in there again.
Complete again for Poplawski, out of bounds at the 17-yard line with 9 seconds remaining.
Well, he's got time for 2 plays.
2 plays and a 2-point conversion.
That's right.
Cal Murphy is going to call timeout.
Well, you can't get much better finishes. You guys had a great one Saturday and another one this week. That's not bad.
John Hopnagel has completed 9 of 14 attempts since coming in. 106 yards, and Joe Poplawski has caught 7 for 94 yards. Seconds remaining. It's down at the 18-yard line. Winnipeg with a timeout. John Hopnagel has received those final instructions. .25-17 is the score. Winnipeg requires a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Time for 2 plays. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped.
If he has to throw this in the field of play on in the end zone, the receiver should catch it and get down. If he can't get to that end zone, into the middle, there it is.
He's hit just as he threw with 5 seconds left. So this time, the Blue Bombers must put it in the end zone.
That guy, 95, Brent Murphy, is a great story. A guy never played any football, was a bodybuilder. If you could ever see this guy without a jersey on, I've never seen arms that big. He's only about 6'1". And I tell you what, from coming from bodybuilding into football and learning to play that fast, that's great.
Well, you saw Cal Murphy and Glenn Steele motioning to James Hood to get down. And that's exactly what he did. James Hood is down on one knee. And now this gives Murphy an opportunity to call John Hopnagel over to the bench for one last bit of advice.
Well, you can't cut it any finer than this. It's going right down to the last play.
Jackie Parker at that Edmonton bench, nervously pacing back and forth. It's been that type of night here at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Very entertaining ball game between the Blue Bombers and the Eskimos. Glenn Steele is now coming into the ball game as James Hood has gone out.
40,000 people here have enjoyed it. I know we've enjoyed it.
And we hope you viewers across the network have also enjoyed the action. And that you'll be joining us on Sunday afternoon from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa as the Rough Riders take on the Calgary Stampeders. Well, this is the ball game, the final play right here.
unfortunate for Winnipeg. Huffnagel rolled to his left. He wanted to hit Murphy on the out, and Murphy fell on the cut. That took his primary receiver away from him in a hurry.
Well, Joe Koplowski came up with that 18-yard touchdown grab from John Huffnagel as time had expired. And then the two-point conversion attempt failed, and Jackie Parker is now down on the sidelines. And J.D., that final minute was rather exciting, wasn't it?
Well, that was about as physical a football game as I've seen in a long time. Winnipeg and ourselves really went after each other, and it was just a great ball game to watch. It was a greater one to win, though, I'll tell you that.
Jackie, you have to be very pleased, naturally, with the victory, but concerned, of course, with the loss of Joe Holloman with that knee injury.
Well, that's right. We're still concerned about that, but the guys went in and really fought their hearts out, and we were short on defensive backs, but they really hung in there.
I'll tell you, Jackie, one thing I think really helped your defense tonight was moving Mandridge to that middle guard. He did a sensational job out there tonight.
Well, I tell you what, Mandridge did a great job. They had to hold him to keep him out there, and they got called for it on crucial time.
Mandridge, of course, also had that one key play for you, the quarterback sack.
Oh, you bet.
Winnipeg was trying to drive.
You bet. A lot of big plays out there tonight.
When you moved Murphy to defensive end, is that his normal position, or is it because he never played ball, he didn't have one?
Who's that?
Murphy.
Murphy plays all the positions. He plays nose guard, too.
I got to ask you one question, Jackie. When Shaw got hurt, and you come to that critical situation there where Dunnigan had to throw the ball, did someone send in word to work on that corner where Shaw had vacated?
We were trying to work with Chris over there on a couple of things, and they went into different coverages on us. But on that one, they were in the right coverage. We got the first down, and then Chris just made one of his great patented moves to take it all away.
Jack, did it do your heart good to see your Edmonton club come up with such a strong running game?
Well, yeah, we thought the way they were playing us, we could run on them a little bit, and our guys did a good job blocking, and our backs ran the ball really well.
Well, Matthew Dunnigan came up with a strong performance tonight. I know with that public address system blaring in the background, it's a little difficult to hear, Jackie, but Matthew seems to be getting just a little better with every game.
Well, he's a great player.
Jackie Parker, congratulations, a fine win tonight. Your record evens at 2-2. We'll let you get to the dressing room, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Jackie Parker, the victorious coach tonight here at Commonwealth Stadium. We'll be back with our Counting Will Keep Game Stars after this.
A band of strong thunderstorms was located from near Port Huron, southwest to Detroit, and into Fort Wayne, Indiana. Friday, then becoming partly cloudy. The high will be around 80. Wind will be from the northwest, 5 to 15 miles an hour. Mostly clear Friday night with a look.
I was excited about all their Mungo block. You know, leave someone else free. And then I started breaking through that, and I started getting chopped a lot. So we changed over to a 40 defense, and we're getting some more pressure that way. All right, thank you.
Tonight, the two teams almost hitting 900 yards in offense. But right now, let's go to CFL Control and Brian Williams.
Lots of offense indeed, Don Whitman. Good football game tonight. We'll go back to Edmonton in just a minute. We will also bring you people up across the network tonight on Major League Baseball. First of all, though, this is the beginning of Week 4. Let's go back and have a look at some of the records from last year in the CFL. We turn back the pages on last year in the CFL. Calgary rookie running back Lewis Walker enjoyed a fine debut, rushing for 732 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of them this 87-yarder against the Ottawa Rough Riders. The longest field goal was shared by a pair of veterans, Hamilton's Bernie Ruoff, Calgary's J.T. Hay. And Calgary also had the longest punt of the year, 92 yards off the foot of Mike McTagg, now with Montreal. It came on Labor Day here at McMahon Stadium and cost the Edmonton Eskimos a point. White Edwards was not playing for Calgary at the time. He is now, but the former track star had the longest punt return of the year as a member of the Ottawa Rough Riders. He burned the Montreal Concorde for 96 yards at Olympic Stadium. They somehow managed to keep Edwards out of the end zone. Under the dome at BC Place, Bernie Ruoff really puts his foot into this kickoff for Hamilton. When it finally stopped, the ball had traveled 92 yards. Ottawa's Ruben Eccles played just 2 games in '84, had a hand in the longest kickoff return of the season. Eccles to Keith Baker to, yes, Dwight Edwards, again, who does most of the work, carries 89 of the 100 yards in the play. Once again, he is denied the end zone by Montreal. Well, with a name like Bird, you could expect a long flight. That's what BC's Melvin Bird had in mind when he took off with this Ottawa pass at BC Place. 115 yards later, Bird had his second pro touchdown, the 4th longest in league history. He also tied a league record of 4 interceptions in a single game. Linebacker Al Washington, a leader for the Ottawa Rough Riders, leading the team in unassisted tackles with 65, the second in sacks with 9. He sets a CFL record of 104 yards with a fumble recovery, 2 yards further than the former record held by ex-Ottawa quarterback Jerry Keeling. 1984 record setters Calgary and Ottawa were also involved in the longest touchdown pass. Calgary, indirectly before the season, they had sent Wayman Aldridge to Ottawa, and the former Nevada-Las Vegas Rebel star finished second with the Riders in receptions, including this scoring play from J.C. Watts against Hamilton. Wayman Aldridge for 90 yards. The season passed to look back at some of the outstanding moments, and who knows which of those records will be broken in 1985. And right now, let's bring you people up to date on Major League Baseball at the Cincinnati Reds Stadium in Edmonton.
Our Carling O'Keefe offensive game star, Matthew Dunnigan, the Edmonton quarterback, had an impressive night at Commonwealth Stadium. He was throwing the ball well, running it well, and the Edmonton Eskimos had 210 rushing yards, 241 yards through the air. The big strike in the passing arsenal of the Eskimos, that 89-yard touchdown throw from Dunnigan to Chris Woods late in the game, as Dunnigan hit on 14 of 23 attempts. Winnipeg, with Willard Reeves hurt early in the ball game, relied mainly on their passing attack. 442 yards, or 417 passing. 32 of 51 completions for Tom Clements, the starter, and John Hufnagel, but that final 2-point conversion failed, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers missed an opportunity to tie it as the Eskimos win it 25-23. But a most exciting and entertaining ball game tonight here at Commonwealth Stadium. We said at the start of our telecast tonight that John Hufnagel, in a relief role, number 2, he came on again tonight and looked impressive, taking over from Tom Clements. Will the fans and perhaps even Cal Murphy now start thinking about Hufnagel as number 1?
Well, it's hard to say, Don, but I think we got to give Tommy Clements a lot of credit. He was 22 for 34 for 293 yards, and actually there was 868 yards of offense in this football game tonight. And the thing you got to remember is when Hufnagel got in there, it was in the last couple of minutes of the ball game. That defense is playing very loose back there, and he was getting the ball inside to Murphy on that square in and things like that because they were dropping so deep. But he did put the ball on the money, and he did score the touchdown run when he had to score it, so he certainly deserves a lot of credit.
Well, I really don't think you start Hufnagel. I mean, they have a good situation, and John's accepted his role. Tom knows he's a starter. Why disrupt it? The big thing that Winnipeg's having their problems with, and we said it in the opening game of the season in Montreal. Last year, the Bombers scored 61 touchdowns, and they have not been able to finish their drives. And this is where the Winnipeg offense has fallen down. They had enough chances down there to put the ball in the end zone and put the game away, and came up empty.
Well, I maintain the turning point in the ball game was late in the first half when Winnipeg recovered the fumbled ball in the kickoff. It looked as though they were going to add to an 8-point lead at the time and might have gone to the dressing room with an 18-3 halftime lead. They throw an interception. Edmonton comes right back and score, and it's a 1-point game at halftime.
Turnovers will kill you.
Oh, they'll just break your heart. And Tommy again got the rush from the linebacker on that pass that you're talking about that was intercepted. And at the last moment, the hand got up and just blocked his view, and he threw it a little bit short and was intercepted.
Well, Cal Murphy told us before the game, he said, don't forget, we're not the same football team as we were last year when we won the Grey Cup.
Well, you know something, Don, that no one has mentioned here before, and Winnipeg has had a slow start this year. There's no question about that. Maybe some of this can be attributed to the fact that there's been a coaching change there. You know, Art Alsalta, that was there last year as their offensive coordinator, is no longer there. They've got Pal Satori there now, and Pal is an excellent coach, but it's going to take him time to get used to his players. It's going to take his players time to get used to him, and Al was there for, several years, and I think this could have a little bit of effect on a football team, Ron. It's going to take a while to get used to them.
Well, I don't know. You still got the same players. That's the argument that you're going to get, and, you just got to put it in the end zone. Get down there, put it in. You can't come away with field goals.
Very profound.
Right. I'll tell you what impressed me tonight, Don. We talked during the telecast that Edmonton gives them a lot of different looks defensively. They didn't do that tonight. What they did do is they moved Stuart Hill back up from that linebacking spot up onto the line, turned him loose like they did last year when he just wreaked havoc on a lot of people in this league. And I'll tell you what, their pass rush was 100% better.
Very good point. And between he and Mandridge, that was the difference on that defensive line.
Indeed it was. Well, let's take a look at a few of the scoring highlights of tonight's football game. And Matthew Dunnigan on that 6-yard run for the first one.
This is an option, run or pitch. And on this case right here, he just sees the open daylight on the outside and outruns Scott Flagel into the end zone.
And then Rick House, the ex-Blue Bomber, coming back to haunt his former mates with a great catch in the end zone.
Well, you see Tyrone Jones, and then we're going to make the hit on him, and as he's falling down, he throws it. He knows he's got one-on-one coverage, and you see Rick House make the adjustment. Well, that's just good football, and that's what they're supposed to do, and they did it, and they did it well.
Never see a better catch. Caught that with his hands, and here's the one where he hit him on the sidelines, and down the sidelines he goes, and it was just an excellent job. You heard Dunnigan say he went from right to left on it and finally found him open on the outside.
That looked as though it was the ball game, but John Hufnagel brought the Bombers back, and with time running out, hit Joe Poplawski in the end zone. But the Bombers failed in the two-point conversion try, and they dropped a 25-23 decision here at Commonwealth Stadium to the Edmonton Eskimos. That's the final score, and now let's go to CFL 85 Control, and again, Brian Williams.
And again, thank you, Don Whitman. Good football tonight. The Eskimos defeating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by 2. Let's show you the standings as a result of tonight's game. We begin with the Western Conference. The BC Lions still with a 2-point lead now over both Winnipeg and Edmonton. Calgary plays in Ottawa Sunday afternoon. We take a look at the Eastern Conference. The Montreal Concord, a great matchup coming up Saturday night under the Dome at BC Place in Vancouver. Montreal at Vancouver. And, of course, Toronto and Hamilton struggling. There are 3 games this weekend, 3 more. Toronto and Hamilton tomorrow night. Montreal, Vancouver, of course, on Saturday. And Calgary at Ottawa Sunday. Good night, everyone, from CFL Control. Our executive producer is John Spaulding. Tonight's game very capably produced by Jimmy Marshall and directed by Larry Brown. Our isolation director, Brad Haywood. And the names of the production and technical people that make CFL 85 possible. And once again, to our technical producer, Norm Brody, who is recuperating in a hospital in Ottawa. Get well quickly. We hope to have you back in the very near future. The final score, the Eskimos by 2. And our next telecast Sunday in Ottawa.